We are back with episode 21 of the All About Counter-Strike podcast, and it's going to be a lot about Cologne, going into Blast Bounty. There's so much to talk about with some of the rosters and everything that's been going on. If you can see, I've got a terrible camera again because I went on holiday, and like the genius I was like, I'm going to pack really light. So light that I didn't take my laptop charger because I'm an idiot. So I borrowed a laptop from my friend who's one of the Chinese press for 5e Play, but he only has one USB-C port on here. So the microphone's in that, so the audio is good for all our audio-only listeners out there. But the webcam is from my iPad while the laptop's in. Dude, this is such a botched setup.
And the laptop was in full Chinese.
Yeah, my laptop's completely in Chinese now. So if anything pops up, we have Seraph. Come for a moment. So Seraph is a Chinese commentator, host. I've worked on stages with him. Here he is. He is here in case anything messes up. And the poor guy gets to watch he's just laughing. He has to watch the podcast live while we natter on about everything. He's been at Cologne as well. It's great to see him. He actually bought me, Seraph, pass me the Labubu. He bought me 2 Labubus over. Do you know what they are, Devilwalk?
Oh, wow. I have, is it the small? Yeah,
bro.
Exactly, yeah. I've heard of these.
Wait, look at this one. This is the most gangster one possible. I didn't even know this existed. Look at this. And wait.
The hell?
Yeah, I got
is
robot
that like a
Labubu
Diva or something.
Yeah, it kind of looks like it, doesn't it, from Overwatch?
Yeah.
But yeah, he came with the Chinese hookup directly, so I don't have to pay outrageous European prices for Labubu. Because we're getting scammed out here because all the kids want them and everyone wants them. But yeah, dude, you know what? I'll start with this. Actually, no, let me ask you how your time was, because I went on holiday, so I was chilling until I got to Cologne.
I also went on holiday. I mean, I think last episode, a little bit of a holiday. We went to Stockholm, obviously. We saw
That's
Manchester
not a holiday.
United.
It's the same country.
Yeah, but still a little bit of a holiday. We were there, and my brother lives in Stockholm, so we met up with him.
Nice.
Watched obviously Manchester United versus Leeds in
Did we win?
Stockholm. It was an incredibly dry and boring game that ended 0-0.
No. But you paid for that.
Yeah, but it was still cool, you know. It's still Premier League teams in Sweden. I think
was
it was
it like better or worse than the Cologne finals?
Well, that's a tough one. Tough one. But yeah, but it was a good time. And then we went and visited my my girlfriend's parents 2 hours away for like 4 or 5 days.
Yeah.
So still like an energy gaining kind of vacation-y couple weeks.
I did 11 days in Turkey with my wife and my son. And I want to say, right, when you have a kid who's 8 and they got energy, like, I can't call it relaxing fully. It was like we had all inclusive, you know, so you don't have to leave the venue, you just go leave the resort. I say venue like we're in an event. I didn't have to leave the resort or anything, but like you're eating buffet food every day. I actually lost weight on holiday because I was boxing, like doing the adults boxing. I was at the resort, and then I was in the swimming pool with him the whole time. And dude, he can sit in the swimming pool from like 12 until the pool closes at 8. And sometimes I try to sit down and he's like, Dad, and you're back in the pool again. So there's like...
So you're not like me at like the open bar by the pool. You're just queuing for when it opens. So.
I had my drinks in the evening. I definitely had a few drinks in the evening, but I was not at an open bar. I was not sat in a pool bar or anything like that. There was no options for that. I was throwing a ball around. I was diving for stuff underwater that he was constantly throwing in. It was good fun. Turkey was crazy good weather. I was actually near Zantaras. Zantaras was like 2 resorts down from me. He was at a really nice resort, just to say that, to be clear. Zantaras living life. And I can say that publicly because he posted on his Instagram stories. But yeah, he told me to go to his one next time. And I said, I don't have the same money as you as a player, bro. We're not living the same kind of life. Like I might have to wait a few years before I do that. But yeah, the weather was sick in Turkey. And then I came straight to Cologne. And I'll tell you this, like, being a talent is obviously such a joy. The first day was so hard for me because I felt so sad when you see other people doing the interviews and other people doing the stage stuff, and then fans are coming up to you and saying like, "Why are you not working?" I'm like, I just wasn't hired, and it just like I missed it so much. But by the second day, I felt much better because I just took it like I was doing some video logs, I was doing some content for 1xBet. I did a signing session, bro. I'll tell you this, never did I expect. I started the signing session at the end of NAVI Spirit, first semi-final. I missed all of MOUZ Vitality because the signing session was 2 hours, 30 something minutes long. It was like, yeah, and it just, even there was a small gap where people didn't come, and then I was just signing some more for like giveaway stuff, and then another queue just rocked up because they saw, oh, there's no one here, and then it just got. So there was no, I didn't want to go when people are waiting, you know. I don't want to tell people, no, I won't do it. And then I came back for the final 2 rounds, and I was like, what the hell? Vitality lost. Like I was confused, you know, when you come in and you just think, what the hell happened? So I'll be honest, I saw nothing of MOUZ Vitality, so you're gonna have to fill me in on that. I'm completely
So I rewatched it actually because I had actually some stuff to do with like my girlfriend. So I actually rewatched it like earlier today.
Nice. You'll be fresh for later when we talk about that.
Yeah,
that's good. But yeah, Cologne ended up being fun in the end, hard at the beginning. But my God, I want to go back on stage. I want to go back and do this event. So hopefully not too long for that.
I'll let you know though. My girlfriend, we were watching like most of the event like on the TV, and she's just kind of, she doesn't know anything, and she's definitely not like that into Counter-Strike world. But she did mention when they introduced people on stage that she was a little bit disappointed that there was not a more energetic voice doing the call up. So I did hype you up there for her that you're really good at it.
Do you know what I think? Because like, yeah, people have to remember, I know some people even tweeted, which is unfair at sjokz, saying like, oh, your voice, blah, blah, blah. And I think, first of all, if you're offered the job, you're going to take it, right? And she's 100%. Got so much experience and skill, so she did nothing wrong. But I feel like, imagine if you put her doing a great wordplay and her monologues into then giving me the piece to do on the hype or the bit afterwards, or ringing it out and have like a duo piece. That would have made
like
it better.
Yeah.
You know?
I agree with that because I mean, sjokz is so good. Like it's unbelievable if you've seen her work, how much prep she does, how much work she actually puts into it.
You got to work with her Antwerp, right? First time.
Yeah, yeah, it was absolutely insane. She was like filming a documentary or some kind of thing at the same time as she was doing the work. And she's so efficient, you know, you're sitting on like a big iPad and like scrolling through text and writing normally on like pieces of paper in her prep and post-its everywhere. And there was so much work involved, and she would do it 24/7 nonstop. So I have a lot of respect for her, and you know, being able to come into, especially like back then, she hadn't done that many CS events.
Yeah, I think this was early start of CS events, definitely.
Yeah, and like she put in the work, man. It felt like she knew more about Counter-Strike than me after a while, or like the history. No, but she really put work in. So yeah, I have a lot of respect for her and her work ethic.
Definitely. Well, let me do my usual thing, my man, because it is currently the 4th of August, 2025. It is 34 minutes past midnight for both of us, because I'm in Germany, Cologne, and you're in Sweden. So, you know, we're on the same time zone finally. It does work out sometimes like that. But we are really late because I actually just got back from dinner. I was in dinner with wonderful, his girlfriend. He even brought his mum, which was really nice. She was watching the event as well. Obviously, we'll come on to NAVI later and how well they played and stuff and what they went through. But we need to start looking at, I guess, the first stage, because remember, we did our episode so long ago. So, stage 1, let's look at some of maybe quickly overview of maybe what was to be considered the negatives, the teams that didn't make it through. I feel like Tyloo, I believe so much that they would go through to stage 2. And they were obviously disappointed.
Tyloo, obviously, they only really had a win against what I consider maybe a weak complexity at this point. They're not looking as sharp as they did a few events ago. And then obviously falling to a 3D Max was a close game, but they should be maybe taking these kind of games.
I thought they should have
And
beat
then-
VP personally, man. I think we both predicted them to beat VP, right, in
Yeah.
that first game.
I think so. But VP is obviously they're a very hard team to kind of guesstimate where they are at.
Every event is a different story. Every event there's a different looking VP.
But they do have Perfecto now, so he
Yes.
did perform.
But they still didn't make it through to the next stage. So I still think anything like that when you have these players is a letdown. Like it's still not acceptable for a team of VP standard. Looking at Payne's kind of funny. You mentioned next as well because the Astralis game gave me some hope. Was like, okay, Payne can still show up. But the big game, I felt like Big probably should have been the team to walk away with the win. And Payne just got some of those key rounds. It's like, okay, you got that one. But losing to Liquid to start off with, when you know how bad Liquid are at the moment, is not great. But that was like a game, that was almost a must-win game and to set them up nicely.
Yeah, and I agree. And I mean, Liquid are in big trouble. I think even after the event, Liquid, when they went out of Cologne, there was tweets from Twist when they lost in some kind of, I think it was an online tournament, EU online tournament.
Yep.
Against, was it VP Prodigy? Or something along those lines. I can't remember exactly what the name was, but it was something along these.
Yeah,
this
VP
caliber.
Prodigy. Virtus Pro is like academy team. But they never take any players from, by the way.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it's not many excuses for that, especially if they want to be considered to be consistently invited into these tier 1 events. That's a really, really bad sign. And obviously there's been some discontent coming out of like Twist writing that they're not a team, etc. They're not playing like a team. And, it goes on. Like, you need to be in a very bad place for a player to start lashing out and kind of directing it publicly to the community.
Yeah. It's not a great sign,
really,
especially when they agreed to stick with this team, right?
Yeah.
According to NAF, what he said in these interviews is that like the team believed in him still and they didn't want to make the change. And then they're still obviously no further forward. They bring Flashy in, which obviously I was very positive about. But I don't like what has he had enough time? No, but still you have enough good players and pieces. And Shuhei needs to still prove himself as a good in-game leader again, because this is now getting a bit worrying. Now you're out of MOUZ and it's not looking pretty at all. So
there's also one of these things where Shuhei, he's, at least from the way that I've seen him conduct himself and talk about the way he leads and stuff, he likes to give freedom to players, etc. And it should probably come to the point where a coach coming from that NAVI camp being able to maybe put a little bit more structure into things. That's probably going to be a little bit of an adjustment period, but it's not like they have all the time in the world.
Not when you're a Liquid. No way. No.
So let's just hope this is just kind of where they mark, okay, maybe Flashy can see, where all the bumps are when they've actually been tested now in a real kind of scenario compared to practice. It can always look way better when you're practicing and things are just running smoothly and things are starting to work. But once you actually get into an intense kind of high pressure situation, you're going to see the cracks, and that's when you're going to learn a lot and be able to kind of sort it out and fix it. So I hope that's one of those scenarios for them.
Another disappointing team for me, at least personally, was Bait, because obviously I think you remember during the Austin Major, I predicted them to do pretty well. They went 3-0 in stage 1, could have made it through to stage 3 even, but obviously they fumbled against Furia and Limvision across 3 maps. But like, they had an invite to Fissure. They actually put it up to vote with their community if they should enter Fissure, because obviously it's Russian owned. And the community said no, decline the invite. So then they came in without playing any officials since the major, going straight into Cologne, their first Cologne, losing to Astralis. No shame in that at all. but then losing to FlyQuest is a rough one because they just added JKS. I don't think Bait should be beating FlyQuest in their current form, I would say. Obviously, both FlyQuest and Bait not making it, but to go out with no wins under your belt, only taking a map from FlyQuest was not what I expected. I wanted more
But
for these guys.
to be fair, I do think that when we look at this JKS FlyQuest, maybe we're underestimating them a little bit.
You think so?
Maybe a little. I'm not saying that they should qualify to every next stage and stuff like that, but they're still like a dangerous team if they have players that can perform. I mean, even like if Inns is their worst performing player at an event like this, almost it's like he can pop off and he can actually be quite good, even as an in-game leader. So I think there's still something to it. They can upset a team or two.
I would just say it in the way that Bait is always practicing against European teams, lives in Europe, is getting good quality practice in comparison to FlyQuest. And
that's true.
I know FlyQuest come over to Europe. They spend a lot of time in Serbia, for example, boot camping and stuff. They're definitely working hard. But I mean, the Bait should have an advantage over a team like FlyQuest.
I agree with that.
They didn't capitalize on having that advantage, which is a problem for me. Like I expect better from Bait. But that's just, I know the guys, I personally would put them, I have that higher expectations of them.
But it also feels like Bait a little bit high pressure situation. That's where they fumble a little bit because like when they played with no pressure, they got a couple of best of one series into them in the major where they have like extra lives. It didn't feel like they fumbled or crumbled then, but when it actually came to the last game where they could actually drop out, that's when they just looked like a completely different team. They got stressed. They were not making the calculated moves and being as collectively aggressive as they were in the early games.
Yeah. Well, then let's have just a quick overview because we're going to talk about some more of these teams. But the teams that made it through to stage 2, Furia, FaZe, NIP, GamerLegion, Astralis, 3D Max, Heroic, and Liquid. So Liquid survived at least the first stage. Out of these teams, I think the only one that might surprise some people would be NIP.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say?
I mean, to some extent, even though I think like you could mention Liquid as a surprise as well.
Okay.
I guess
by name value, I always think like we should be saying they should go through, but with recent form, you're probably right.
I would put like Pain and VP and like ahead of them.
I wouldn't put VP above them, but I'd put Pain above them.
And Tyloo,
my stocks are so down on VP though. Like,
okay, but I would.
We went for them so many times, and they just get smashed. And then like they have one event where
they're still like you can see there's something in them. In Liquid, I haven't seen that much. I still put them higher than Liquid, even though my maybe hopes for Liquid started way higher than VP. But VP has caught up.
I'll give you that. Looking through on the teams that I would say then disappointed going into stage 2, Astralis, right? Obviously, second in Fissure, super solid. You make it through stage 1, only losing to Furia, but then you go against Vitality and Furia. You play Vitality first time. That's always going to be hard, right? It's Vitality. Astralis isn't ready for that test. But losing to Furia again and not growing from it, it's like in the first time they play Furia, I can give them it's a different style. Obviously, I would say that Fallen's read of the game at times can be better since the rifle has been very impressive. But you didn't learn, you didn't grow. And obviously, MongolZ is great, but I'd say Astralis should be fighting closer against Furia. It was 13-3, 13-4. You got
it was
absolutely dumpstered. Like, everyone was positive on Furia. No, like, it was an absolute fall off from Astralis. And I don't want to hear anything about pressure it doesn't matter. Astralis should be at least making it more competitive than that. Like that, to go from such a high to such a low is crazy.
No, I agree. I think Furia. I rate them actually really, really highly right now, and even
Yep.
before coming into this tournament, they looked super exciting. But Astralis had some of that aura as well, where they weren't that far off from Furia in terms of like a potential of the lineup, especially with Huxi coming in and them coming to that grand final, as you mentioned, and
Yeah.
then coming through to that second place again. It's they have it in them, and they looked like they could be on par with Furia, but Furia was just miles ahead, and they look to be miles ahead right now, especially with this result.
Massively.
But I still, it is tough coming in. I think still Furia is one of the best teams at this tournament, and facing off Astralis or Astralis facing off Furia and Vitality in the opening games in obviously a packed stack tournament
Yeah.
anyways. It's still a really tough draw. Um you know yeah, it's a tough one.
It is very tough.
But yeah,
Do
I
we
don't
want
know.
to? Do you want to touch on the liquid results next? Should we go there?
Yeah,
Because
we
obviously
can
on the
go
same
there.
bit of disappointment, because you got beaten by FaZe anyway in the first stage. You play him again for an elimination match in the second stage, and FaZe again handle it 2-0. And it's when you're seeing the scorelines 13-6, 13-2. An ancient, by the way, it may be FaZe's pick, but I remember so many rounds of Ultimate like having good success and doing well as an AWPer on that map. And it felt like across this series when I watched it that Nertz was the only one who could make it. Like, he was trying everything. He was
Yeah.
trying whatever it took, whatever he could make a play, whatever he could make to happen. And I'm thinking, someone else help him. Like, please, someone else come alive in this game. That's all they need to just try and make it competitive. Because again, I don't mind like the game against MOUZ. It would be nice if they took a map, but like they didn't get completely dumpstered. I can say it was less embarrassing than the FaZe game. But for Liquid going out, you're on the second stage, 13th to 16th, so you're one of the first teams eliminated. It's rough, and that's where the doubt sits in about what this Liquid can do. This would even be like if they go to Blast Bounty now, and we'll come on to that at the end or towards the end of the episode. If they go on to Blast Bounty and they're still struggling, is that where Liquid say we need to make a change already mid-season, or do they just hang it out until the major? Because remember, they can afford to at least change one player.
I mean, I think it's starting to look really bad. It's not only that, like, you don't really see any growth in them. Like if you look at the FaZe game, they had 2 CT rounds or the total of 8 rounds. But like playing Ancient, obviously FaZe, they had a great T side, but it felt like whatever FaZe did, nothing is gonna stop them. They probably get into this kind of panic mode. Obviously, Mirage having NAF on 217 is not helpful in a 13-6 game.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really know. I still feel like it's not really one player's fault. I don't really see, like you said, maybe it's nerds that's popping off at times, but we're lacking from Ultimate, we're lacking from Shui, we're lacking from Twists, we're definitely lacking from NAF.
Twist and Ultimate are the ones, like, people are criticizing NAF all the time, and he's getting so much blame. He should get some blame because he's always been a staple of that team as like someone you can say is always reliable. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they made a decision not to cut him, so they've given him a confidence boost. But now his own confidence needs to come through. Otherwise, it's GG, because I'm not going to put all blame on NAF. Nertz at the moment I have no problems with, but I need an Ultimate and Twists to at least be pushing in the same direction with him, with Nertz, that is. Yeah.
I mean, Twist is supposed to be like the star player.
Now he's not
supposed to
IGL.
be supposed to be leading the pack with Nerf, with Nerds, and posting the 115, 120 ratings in a series, not sitting there with 1128 and NAF on 931 in a best of 3. That it's not good enough. So it's hard when you can't get your star players to kind of fill the shoes.
Big
But
time.
I mean, FaZe outplay them. It looked like a completely different, level of, I don't know, teams.
Big time.
They shouldn't even be in the same tournament almost.
Big time. Actually, one other team I was going to look at here on the last place positions is GamerLegion, because we said about them being, this kind of system. It's not Swiss. This should be better for them. That was your go-to, right? Your go-to was not Swiss system. So
that's my math.
Beating Complexity and VP in stage 1, 0 problems with that. But then losing to Falcons, there's also 0 problems with that. 3D Max, they should be able to play. I could give that. 3D Max is a good team. So it's like, it's a rough draw when you get into the second stage, right? But it's just, maybe I'm just biased because of Ash, the way he picks his players, the way they use this team. But I feel like they have the potential always to be a team that should be maybe making it to playoffs or being close to playoffs. And this was not even close.
No, not even close. I mean, it was a close game.
3D Max's overpass, which probably they didn't even expect,
Yeah. I think that's probably the thing that hurts them the most, and especially, Dust 2 overtime that went on for ages. And I can't remember if it was GamerLegion that they have struggled in these kind of overtime situations. I felt like in the past they didn't. They always seemed to kind of climb through it and surprise teams, but now they're in that kind of slump. But yeah, I don't know. How much did you see of Kursy, the new AWPer?
I was about to ask you, because I didn't, obviously with the being on holiday, I didn't watch too many games of GamerLegion of my choice games, right? So Kursy, I was not looking at. I was going to ask you what you thought of him, because I think I saw some clips where I'm like, these are some okay moments, but like,
I think I've seen them a little bit. I can't say I watched all the games, but I remember watching a couple. I think I watched the Nuke against Falcons, and I think he was okay. Sometimes he gets caught in a little bit of a awkward, like, how to say it. It feels like he exposes himself a little bit too much, if that makes sense, with his body when he's moving into angles, and almost like has to reflex shoot to kill.
Would that be like something
he was fully intentional?
Yeah, but is that something where like he wasn't punished for that previously, and now he is, and now he's got to learn it? Do you think,
probably,
or is it just a mistake he made mechanically?
I think it's not a mechanical issue. It's more like a positional awareness type issue, and I mean, there's gonna be a little bit of talk about stuff like that later on as well, where we have a lot of new debutantes where but it is a different level, and especially like how people are made and what opportunities people take and how fast they take these opportunities is a completely different ball game. Because if you're playing in the lower tier, maybe you have 4 or 5 extra seconds to rotate into a site, while against a tier 1 opponent you don't have that, so you're gonna it's you can't stay as much, and you have to be faster with the decision making and be ready for everything possible, essentially. And that takes a while.
I'm not going to touch on Aurora in any detail, by the way, because a lot of people asked me about Aurora even at Cologne when we were there, and I just said they didn't have Zantares, so like 9th to 12th is acceptable. You don't have the full team. You're in this situation. There's no need to go into any detail or waste any time on it. It's like 9th to 12th is completely fine for a team who doesn't have one of their, or if not their, like most star player. Like, he's the difference maker. It's going to be uncomfortable.
I mean, I watched the FaZe game, which ended up knocking them out, and they were in a huge lead on Nuke against FaZe. I strictly remember xFloud screaming at the FaZe players, and eventually, after he did, they didn't get a single round after that.
Bro, how did he not learn? He didn't learn from his heroic times. Carrigan literally told him from the video logs to the thing, he was like, if you're going to do that to me after a game, I'm going to do it to you, and I'm going to make you suffer. They got punished for that last time, so just because you're on a roll with your Turkish boys, you thought that was going to change? Mistakes are made, maybe he'll learn.
Such big momentum, and I think they lost against like a 4-spy, and then FaZe just kind of killed
the classic FaZe.
the game.
4-spy win to it. All right, so we've covered on the Astralis situation. One more team to look at then before we get into some of the bigger names is NIP. Because the Aurora one, honestly, I expected more in their Aurora game because Aurora is playing with X-Files. I thought I see a better NIP. Yeah. They did beat Heroic twice. So they beat Heroic in both stages. They beat 3D Max as well, which qualified them from stage 1 to stage 2. And they lost to NAVI, but it did manage to take a map from NAVI. This is honestly, I think I've said this before somewhere like ages ago, but like this is the most happy I've been about watching an NIP in so many years.
I agree.
Like,
I think
Wrinkle is great, by the way, like fully. Kaspersky was
he's the
a
real
big
deal.
pickup.
He's the real deal. Honestly,
yes.
he is the real deal. He looks sharp, and I was sitting here by the computer, was watching the Aurora train game, and when he did that 4K on Yard, where he flicked back to the white box like Olaf and the Electric, and then just one tapped another guy coming. I think it was a back train, or no, he came from Ivy, the big guy.
All right, slight slip up because dodgy everything connection, you name it. This is what happens when you travel and use all these programs. But Devil, we were talking about Kaspersky being very good.
Yeah, he's fantastic. I think he's the real deal. You can see the X factor in him, especially like I was sitting right here by my PC, watching that like 4K on train when he went out Yard on T side, and he just smashed 4 people. He like turned around, killed one white box by Olaf, killed the guy Electric. I think he killed one back bomb and back like the big I call it big gap, but it's like camera, old camera entrance. And I was actually making noise, and my girlfriend was like, I was like, woo,
You're reacting. When you're reacting from your couch, that's impressive.
Yeah, it is. It was dirty, and it was sexy Counter-Strike. I loved it, and I think it's a really really big difference to the level that NIP can reach with this new lineup, comparably to when they had Arosdose.
Who didn't hit when he went to an English-speaking team, and also Wrinkle now has some backup. Finally,
and I also think that
show.
I also think that it comes a little bit good also because sjokz, he can be a bit crazy as well, has a little bit of that X factor, but sometimes shy away from games, and having that a little bit more backed up from a rifler that is also a bit crazy, I think helps them have a good balance on the team where they need it. So maybe Snappy doesn't need to do it all the time, where he needs to run in first, etc. Can be just more of that supportive in-game leader, and being able to take that step when it needs to be taken instead of being maybe his prime responsibility. So I think the balance of the team looks great, and I think there is actually a potential for them to break into a more common tier 1 scene, and I'm impressed by the progress they've made, and they've fought through hell, as everyone knows tier 3 and tier 2 scene is.
Dude, they've gone through something crazy. Where are they right now? They're 19th in the Valve rankings. So this event's been good for them. Exist, obviously, has been coaching them through all this. All of them, when I saw Shush in Kazakhstan, he was just so happy to be back at a big event. He was so happy to have the interviews and doing the content, and becoming like a normal, what him and Snappy were mainly used to, right? So I've got good eyes on them and what they can do, and I think they'll continue to rise. I'll say this now. I feel like they could. Obviously, they're in a position to do it anyway, but I feel like I don't worry about them slipping out from being able to get to a major again for NIP. I'm not worried about that.
I think they'll make it to the next major.
Yeah. All right. From here, Devilwalk, this is where it gets fun for you. Because let's talk about Falcons. So, everyone, the whole world, anyone who knows about Counter-Strike and kyousuke, however you want to say his name, there's a million different ways to say it, and I'm not going to apologize for any of it. Kyousuke is my favorite because it's the most Japanese I can make it sound, even if he is a Russian player. But for him, right, Cool. We can talk very positively about him. One of the highest rated players of the tournament. But the drop off continues because you go 9th to 12th. Now, losing to MongolZ, no problem. Losing to Furia, it's not the end of the world, but we expect more when you have NiKo, you have MongolZ, you've got Tesses, who has been doing really well. And a lot of the games, we were only seeing kyousuke be like a driving force. And I guess I have to understand this now in the sense that we spoke about all the positional things, right? We've seen interviews on HLTV about it. They've pretty much given him everything he wants, thrown the kitchen sink at him and said, go, be Donk'd 2.0. I'm sure we've all seen that amazing ESL skit. Yeah.
Yep.
Where Kicksan's like, yeah, no pressure. And then everyone, and then what is it? MongolZ comes up and he's like, Donk'd 2.0. Then Yanko and NiKo are there together saying like, oh yeah, you're going to get the first major for him. And they're like memeing of him getting the major trophy and stuff like this finally. And right now you didn't even make playoffs of Cologne. And you can say it's the first event and stuff like this, but I'm just going to put it out there that maybe you gave the boy too much. Maybe you tried too hard to change too many things.
There is definitely an element of that because they, as you say, I think of the maps they played, we haven't seen all the maps, obviously, because we don't have that data yet from every single map. But from the maps they have played, I think there's only one position on one side that is unchanged for kyousuke in terms of his old roles in Spirit Academy. So that is ramp on Nuke.
Yeah.
That is the only thing that is changed for him. And it's not like, I think everyone can play ramp to some degree on Nuke if you just know the basic rules of what you want to achieve ramp. It can be different for different teams, but I think it's not a very difficult role to play. So
okay, that's
I
probably
think
why I like playing it.
it's a good middle ground for him to like kind of ease into a role like that. And also NiKo is like heavy communicator in the team and playing on the outside, which is obviously
It's
him
just what
running a
he's known
CT side
for.
would be probably a bit too messy for them to kind of change that whole dynamic on the CT side. But I thought that we would go into a little bit of a segment showing
this is it.
a little bit of what the impact of kyousuke has been or how it has impacted other players on the team and see how different does kyousuke's Falcons look to Magisk Falcons, as I've named
So
it.
we'll officially get into it. We've got a Devilwalkthrough for you, the first of two in this episode of All About Counter-Strike. And this one's the Falcons of old versus the Falcons of new. And I'm just super interested because I threw a bunch of questions at you about this and you've been doing some research. You've been cracking on for me. So I'm going to hop on to Discord now, right?
What has changed essentially is the big question. So if we go through on the CT side, we have Kixan. He's moved into the B anchor role. kyousuke takes that middle, but the rest is relatively unchanged. You know, NiKo, and if we move MongolZ, it would be the support flasher for NiKo and Tessus to take long. NiKo is the short player, but here we're just seeing a little bit of an anti-eco, and you can see kyousuke is a lot more aggressive than Kixan used to be. He's staying that mid doors, having that support, NiKo kind of holding lower for him so he doesn't get popped off. So that's
this is
the
great
only
to have
real
them to
change for the CT side. I mean, we're gonna see rounds where you obviously have 4-man long and stuff like this, but he's the outside B player and Kixan is the anchor now. That's one change. So if we just talk about what does that imply for an in-game leader to be stepping into an anchor role. Now, the thing with Falcons is obviously NiKo is running a lot of the show on the CT side. They've mentioned that multiple times in the past, so maybe that's not a big difference. But Kixan obviously being more used to being supportive and maybe used to having that kind of information flow that he can hear in middle to be able to direct his team a little bit more is lost and put a little bit
Okay.
more responsibility on kyousuke, right? So that's where I
Yep.
could see, okay, this could be different. This could be, I mean, it could be good, it could be bad. We will see. Right now, they still look very, very positive on Dust 2, at least on the CT side. Now, for the T side, we have NiKo moved into Dark. This is Tessa's old role. And we have
Okay.
Tessa's being more of actually outside long. Now on this, they have, you see here, this is his responsibility. He's just taking it from different position. We have kyousuke is on NiKo's old role, being the more active, pressuring middle, taking short control, that kind of good stuff. And really, what I want to do is just, we can show you a little bit here, a video of what NiKo does in this round, essentially, and how this impacts NiKo's performance. Because you can be critical of NiKo not posting the same numbers as he did before, but just
Yep.
imagine how big of a change this role is for him. He's holding upper dark, and the amount of opportunities and impact you can have is you can pressure with a little bit of a lurk smoke in a good timing, and he's being pressured here. He's doing it like he's doing a really good job here. To be
Okay.
fair, see kyousuke is out middle at this point, and he's just pressuring. But you're not going to get that many opportunities as the previous playmaker of the team in a spot
Yeah.
like this, comparably, right? You're going to be there in the executes, perhaps go for a lurk kill in middle, etc. But you're not going to have the same impact as previously if we just jump into the old one with Magisk here. So here we see a normal standard round. We have NiKo being active here, Magisk outside long. Kicks and Testes has some kind of bait setup, maybe if someone goes aggressive. But here you see NiKo, what he does is super, super smart. I'll actually go back here and show you why it's so smart. So he gets naded in lower here. He falls back, he plays a bit safe, he mollos, flashes short. The CTs then proceed to mollo themselves and nade. He instantly runs up to take short. He knows no one is playing close, I can take this safe. He's already put up a lurk smoke here. Now he will get a lot more opportunities by doing this. He's in a more central position. He can choose to go out
Yep.
middle. He can choose to poke out, short if they're doing some sort of B split. He can drop CT and help his team that way. But when you're isolated in dark, the only real thing you can do is you can help your teammates hold mid so they don't get flanked when they are short, or you can hold that dark spot, wait for them to kind of overwhelm middle and go in on the last second on B in a B split. That's what you can do. But otherwise, you're basically just holding the map control and then you're rotating to whatever call it is. You can see Tessus here, for example. It's moving down
Yeah.
lower, grouping up with his team in the right timing, and rechecking dark. And then, okay, we don't have the timing now. And then essentially what I said, he will be a little bit passive, stay in that dark position, spray a little bit, and jump through the smoke when the timing is right. His job is
Yeah.
just to hold this, make sure the CTs don't push in when they do the B split.
And so
So
he's got
you
control of it the
don't
whole time.
get, yeah, but as Tess is playing this role here in the old, you don't get as much opportunities.
Yeah.
But if you see it, NiKo here, he's the first one running up here into B, getting flashed in, bam bam, and he gets a kill back plats. And he has a lot more actions to obviously fail, but also to do good in, to gain that impact. So that's essentially what I wanted to go through on Dust.
So it's a lot though for NiKo, who was always the star, always set up to have these plays, right? That
Yeah.
he will be now in a position where he's not just given up all of this, but he's learning something new later in his career. Now,
Yes.
definitely very experienced, an amazing player. He can adapt to this, but it's like you're giving up everything you're used to doing. And people are going to look at the numbers, right? They're going to focus on the stats and say he's not doing this. But he's now not in a position to do that.
No, now if you would just take it in. If you would play dark every single round, obviously a Counter-Strike team doesn't really. This is not the round that's played every single round, where it's
Yeah,
always
yeah, yeah.
dark. But there are things where he's not going to have as much impact, but it's also going to affect the team when they want him to have impact. Here's a good round, a good example of what can happen when you want him to have a lot of space taking. He's holding a little bit upper dark. They've lost an entry in top middle. They want to group up here and lower. And what happens here is like you've left a lot of space to get flanked when you've lost this entry. Where maybe
Yep.
in the past you would have a Tessis holding lower, but they're staying very, very grouped, very, you know, there's like a 40-second margin of they could push. Now they don't
Yeah.
get punished for it in this round, but there is a sense where with the new roles, um, you're not as aware. Like I don't think they ever even checked behind them for a long push. Here is the last time, and that's probably a 25-second mark where someone could have pushed and shot them in the back. Now these are
Yeah.
small details that you're not used to having this responsibility, and it creates gaps in the way you play, even if it's not intentional. It's something that they will learn, and that it will iron itself out a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, but they're definitely not used to it yet, and it's gonna make them, even though you have a very good kyousuke who's momentum based, he gets frags and he wins you rounds on his own. If
Yeah.
the rest of the team isn't really following up and isn't, know all the intricacies of their
That's
role,
correct. Yep.
um, you're still gonna leave gaps and you're gonna be punished for them, especially when you're playing a high tier tournament like this. And
Yeah.
swapping a role from a playmaker to a passive role is an extreme change. Even though he's a great player, but he's great not only because of his high mechanical skills, but because he's smart and he takes fast decisions
Yeah.
when he gets the correct information. And you're not going to get that much info in these roles that he
And
currently has.
and for that, right? Obviously, it's NiKo's going to be affected mostly, right? But am I right in saying that NiKo's
It's
affected as
actually a
well? But
mix.
it's also, yeah, there's more players that are going to be hit by this, right? Which is why the team looks so less synergized now.
So even if we're like looking at like most of the maps,
Hmm.
it's actually like the one that is changing the positions the most is Tessus and like NiKo and Kyksan together. But
Hmm.
Tessus and Kyksan, the Tessus is taking the brunt of the changes
Okay, so
most of the
he's the one who's
time.
going to suffer the most.
Because it's a lot of these things where if we would move on to more maps, we will eventually see it. Like if we take
Yep.
a look at Mirage now, for example. So previously we had a NiKo being under or top mid in a more of
Yep.
a playmaking role. Now we have a kyousuke here, a magic NiKo position, or however you want to call it, but magic's old position here on T side. NiKo is taking.
Yep.
Now this is a role where you can be very smart. You can find opportunities to take that one-on-one duel, but you're usually going to be traded. But you have more opportunities than a B site dark
Yeah, like a
player.
double push, a ramp or something,
So
right? Coming
you have
down.
multiple opportunities to do something and link up with your team.
Hmm.
Uh, so here on the T side, it's just a straight swap in kyousuke to NiKo and Magisk. If we look at, this is the old. So NiKo was the playmaker here.
Yep.
Tessus has the same role here, but yeah, they're supporting. So there's not that much more. If we look at CT side, we had Magisk here, we had Kixan here, we had Tessus on short, but in the new one with kyousuke, kyousuke is taking Tessus spots, Tessus is moving to B anchor, and Kixan is moving to A anchor. And NiKo
Hmm.
is still in his CT spot. So I think what they've tried to do is like, okay, NiKo is used to calling CT sides, so therefore he will be a little bit more untouched on the CT side. And try to move other people around. But it's also kyousuke was a short player before, and then they've done this kind of rocade, or so to speak. But yeah, it is a big change for especially Tessus here, being an active player to jumping B apps. He's kind of taking a step back, and you're gonna see that on other maps as well. Nuke, essentially, a good example of that, where
Mm-hmm.
we have here Tessus. This is the old with Magisks. So you have Magic here in lobby, you have MongolZ kind of filling in if they want to do any ramp pressure. Tessus is in top silo, and NiKo is on the yard here, like the playmaker, once they do the smoke
Yeah.
and kicks on supporting him. So in the new one, it's kyousuke is actually lower yard, NiKo goes top silo, and Tessus is moved into lobby lurk. We'll see that, for example, here. So it's essentially the same playstyle. They've just swapped a little bit of positions, but
Yep.
it's still 3 new positions on the T side. It's like more than half the team is changing
Yeah.
their roles in some sort of way. Even if NiKo is used to yard, he's used to being the lower yard that kind of takes the space and kind of creeps around in the smokes. Maybe isn't
Yep.
as used to maybe looking at an AWP when you jiggle the silo corner. But when it comes to this also, I think one thing that kind of takes a little bit of time when you're changing the playmaker, especially on a map like Nuke, but either way, we're going into this. So this is the same round where we have kind of kyousuke in the aggressive form here, where you have the smokes. Something that happens when you change players is like it can be hard to find the right way to condition the CTs because you're not
Mm-hmm.
used to what conditioning is and how do you condition in Counter Strike. You essentially try to utilize the same smoke pattern, same kind of pressure, kind of trick the CTs into reacting or trying to figure out how they react or try to solve a problem. This could be, for example, here, the CT solution was to push through the smoke and try to
Yeah.
challenge them before.
But
And
he's
you
ready
see
for it.
the rest of the team are essentially they're ready to go for some kind of ramp push. But just doing this, applying the same pressure, like next round, I'm sure that he wouldn't push it through the smoke. So they kind of had to try to figure out a little bit, okay, what's the next solution? Maybe they're nading smokes, they're putting the AWP out here, maybe 3 or 4 or 3 CTs are ready when they break the smoke. Try to figure
Mm-hmm.
that out and find the right timing. Now, if you're consistently changing personnel and you're used to a certain way of calling and a certain pressure to be applied in a way, or a certain way of communication style in that to figure out information, that can be way harder to do with a new player who need to learn what information is actually important to convey when you're being that playmaker and solo player. Something that NiKo has a bunch of experience in.
Well, I was going to say that we always talk about NiKo's style of being a captain, right? Not an in-game leader,
Yeah.
but a captain, a leader of men. And his voice is so important. kyousuke's coming onto his first attempt of speaking English in a team, right? He's
Yep.
played his faces. He can do it. But do you also think that that synergy with the team is also going to have taken a hit? The positions are there,
100%.
and then also the communication is not going to be on point, which is going to make it even harder for them to know what might be needed or what be done. Because what might have been natural to him in Spirit Academy, and his team know exactly what to do, is going to be non-existent right now.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's also not, even though like Tessus, MONUS, and NiKo, they've been in a team together for a while, they've kind of synergized with the players they played with. So, for example,
Yeah.
NiKo and Tessus have had a synergy on Yard with MONUS or Kiksan, who's supporting them. And then when MONUS is going into, when they're playing 3-2 on outside with 2 lobby, MONUS is playing with Magisk. They're used to a different kind of temp, or maybe they swing different, clear different, and you're used to like a different shift of of movement together. These are things that you maybe don't necessarily voice everything, how you're moving and how you want to react, but you maybe have things like you want to clear this corner, I'll clear this and I'll push forward, but maybe he's still holding from a longer away angle and he's not ready for the trade when he pushes forward, etc. These are like small details. It actually does take a little bit of time for players to learn, even if you're doing it with, you know, the same teammate in
Yeah.
essentially, but these things, you know, let's just say like the best team is the one that makes the least mistakes, and the more gaps
Yep.
you're gonna give for you to make small, even micro mistakes or macro mistakes, you're gonna have a higher chance of losing. I mean, simple as that. And it's gonna take a little bit of time with people having 3 new roles on T side for them to get to know that player in that situation again. And
Yeah.
they're gonna have
And
to
this is the
talk
first
things
event.
through. Yeah, and it's gonna take a couple of months because even though we say, yeah, it's Magic versus, you know, minus and plus kyousuke, it's not as simple as that because a lot of moving pieces is being placed in different positions, and they need to learn. It's not like Tessis has been lobby lurking for his entire life. He
Yeah.
needs to, yeah, but it's hard to get to know these timings. You need to. It takes a while. It's like we talked about rain becoming an anchor all of a sudden. It takes time for people to learn these new roles. Yeah, they might have a good idea of it, but a good
Different
idea is
playing
not
it.
enough to play in the best tournaments in the world against the best players on that positions. So
Yeah.
we're gonna see a little bit of an off time where people have to figure out a little bit more of how can I regain the impact I had in my previous role in my new one.
So I said this, right? And I'd love to get your thoughts on it. I said that with this new Falcons team, I think it'll take 3+ months for them to get back to even have a chance of being at the level they were when they had the old team. And people were complaining about like, oh, Magic's this and Tessa's this, whatever else, but they were still placing well. The major was embarrassing. That wasn't good enough, right? But they knew these
Yeah.
changes coming in. Magic already knew it was being kicked. So there's a lot of factors in this. But now people expect, because kyousuke was what, 1.5, 2 million. We don't know what the rumor is, right? To take him. More money spent. Falcons being such a team that everyone loves to hate and meme on. I just think if you just look at the players and you look at the ability that's there, if we're being realistic with all these changes you're talking about, the positions, the new way they have to get used to everything, is 3 months, you think, is like a fair time? Is it like almost starting fresh?
I think it at least on maps and sides where they have positional changes where there's like 3 players that I kind of have to do like a chess rocade, or I don't know if that is the word, but
I don't play
either
chess,
way,
so I don't know.
but it might be the Swedish word. But either way, like they're shifting 3 people to different roles and
Yes.
spots. There is a relearning experience because it's a lot. It's like changing, like you have to change your whole T side to some degree, um, and you're probably gonna first, you know, month probably just rehash how you played before, and then maybe this style doesn't really work with Tessa being lobby lurk compared to Magisk. Maybe he needs more help or more support, or maybe kyousuke needs more support and need to shift more people to playing heavy outside on the T side. There's a lot of these small intricacies that some rounds will work with different players and they will not work with a new one, even though he might be a better player, just because they think differently, they approach things differently. Maybe
Much different
one
level of
guy is
experience.
more of a lurker and tries to bait and gain information, while the other one is aggressive and takes the entries. So these
Yeah.
things are can have a huge impact in how the round is being developed.
And does that mean like everyone's calling already that this is such a disappointment? Obviously, I think even NiKo. Let me check. He tweeted like it's embarrassing or something. If
Yeah,
I'm
it's
right.
something along those lines. I think
Which, by the way,
embarrassing.
doesn't help. Yeah, he goes embarrassing. Sorry. Like, first of all, it's bad, but is it really embarrassing? Like, I know the individual performance he won't be happy with, but if you're being fair with all the things we're talking about and looking at in these changes, I wouldn't call it embarrassing yet. The major was embarrassing, but
no, I think we can even reference Vitality to this point. If you looked at the Blast Bounty one in the beginning of the year, they obviously did really well in the online phase and then went to the LAN event and actually crashed out completely. And it was noticeable that they were not ready yet. They did not have figured out all the minor details for how ROPS is going to be gain impact. Now, obviously, they figured out kyousuke, how he's going to get impact, but it's affected a lot of different players, and they need to rethink the whole model in a certain sense. Now we can look at Train as well, just quickly. So here we have a little bit of change. This is still like a big change. So kyousuke goes front yard. Let me get my drawing out. So kyousuke is here on front yard. We have kyousuke actually being the Ivy player now, which was Tess's role before. And Tess's goes inside to take Magic's anchor role. So you're essentially seeing it like this. And in this, kyousuke was before, he was a very front yard heavy player, going into pop, taking T main. NiKo is kind of unchanged in his position a little bit. I think only a little bit stylistically. They were a lot more to front yard when they had Magisk compared to how they are playing now. Now they're playing a little bit more one forward, one back, with MongolZ obviously being that rotation player. And also, like on the inside, I think that Tessis is a little bit more aggressive, trying to play this upper position compared to Magisk, who was playing very info-based in these sorts of positions. So he's a little bit more aggressive, tends to like this position and taking some random timing duels, comparably. But they look solid on the CT side again with NiKo, and this shift hasn't really done that much. And on T side is essentially just a straight swap for kyousuke. So before it was NiKo and kyousuke going inside together and kind of clearing pop, and then going into holding brown holes. I don't know what everyone calls it, but I call it brown hole. So essentially here there's not much change for them. On Train, they're pretty much just a straight swap with kyousuke from Magisk on T side.
So that's not a huge one then.
Guy holding alley, kyousuke likes to be here around supporting, holding T mid a little bit, and MongolZ floating a little bit more depending on where they want to apply that extra pressure. Sometimes towards inner, sometimes helps Tesses take that peak Ivy. So there's not much changing. Here they actually play pretty much identical to what they did with Magisk. And this is just to visualize. They played a little bit more front yard heavy, with Tessus being the guy coming out, but not much big of a difference. I think this could be essentially a meta change rather than them changing personnel. If I'm completely honest, that people have started to figure out Train a little bit more.
Okay, so it's just an updated playbook more than anything.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was essentially it for showing you a little bit on the maps that they have played.
Well, it was a very detailed Devilwalk through, which I appreciate, because it was trying to understand this, right? And obviously on the broadcast, there's only so much they can do in timing to show any of this, but we can really deep dive into having a look at what's possible, what the reasons are, because I think there was quite an overreaction of like, oh, kyousuke played really well, everyone else on the team failed, like what are these people doing, you know? And it's like that again comes down to these people that maybe don't understand Counter-Strike to the right level, because there's so much more in it, especially in this one.
Yeah, but I think it's important also. It's not kyousuke's fault necessarily, but more in the terms of, we're going to have to be a little bit more patient. We can't just say, oh, they've thrown 5 million to this project and it didn't work out. Sonic should be fired. Everyone, it's a bit of
the usual.
yeah, like it still needs a little bit time to gel and grow before we
Yeah.
can be too harsh and judge. Because if we did that, we would say that Vitality Rops moves sucked if we just judged them on the last bounty. So
Exactly. Give it more time. Wait
yeah,
and see what happens with the rest of it. So overall, there's the reasons as to why they struggled so much. They're not happy with it. I can understand NiKo's frustrations, but like you lost to MongolZ, yeah, that's not that bad. Losing to Furia, you probably could have taken it, but there's so much happening that let's see what happens at the next couple of events. They're skipping Blast Bounty. They said it was about visa issues to be fixed for kyousuke because he's never traveled. And by the way, for some people I saw saying like, oh, it's an excuse, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, they need to understand. For him, if he's never had his Schengen visa or he needs to get his things correctly, there's no guarantee he'll get it in time. And if they mess it up, he might have to skip other events. So may as well
yeah,
skip Blast Bounty, which we already spoke about, has a kind of not positive impact overall on the VRS until you get to LAN. Remember, the first games are played online, and it's only 8 teams going to LAN, so it's not a huge one. And then make sure he's at all the important events going forward, and make sure he's there and ready. And obviously, it gives him more
yeah. And
practice time at the same
and
time.
I think it's a great time as well for them to actually have this little bit of break. Excuse or not, it's a good timing for them to kind of iron out. Okay, here we can see where things went wrong, and how can
Yeah,
we maybe even then incorporate NiKo to have more impact in the rounds, or how
yeah.
can testers
Learning
get
from all
more
of this.
comfortable in the lurking or anchoring or whatever it is they're feeling that they are struggling with. This is a
Yep.
great time to see, okay, this was flawed. How can we fix it?
And also, I watched some of these Falcons games, and just to say about kyousuke, it's only 7 maps in comparison to teams that obviously made it through playoffs, but he hit
He's
a
the real deal.
1.39 rating. Yeah.
He
Like,
is as
Donk
good as people were saying.
Donk had a 1.50 rating, obviously played playoffs, went a lot further. But like the next closest player to him is Shiro at 1.22. Frozen, who had 9 maps, not too far away from kyousuke, 1.20 rating. So he legit put up the numbers he needed to. And if he can have that while the rest of them get to their level, get comfortable again, then that's when we get the scary Falcons that everyone's looking for and wanting to see. It just didn't have that same wow effect as when we first saw Donk because of all the reasons we've just gone through in the explanation. You know, Donk fitted almost perfectly in and was doing things no one had ever been able to do in Counter-Strike before because the rest of the system was already set up,
Yeah,
where
and
none
I
of the
mean,
system is set up here.
and it's also like, Donk is an aggressive player taking an aggressive role, and now we're looking at Falcons. NiKo, he's an aggressive player taking a passive role, and that
Hmm.
shift it's a big shift, and it's testers coming from being more of an X factor player into a more lurking position and anchoring. It's a huge difference, from
Yeah,
being also in playmaking roles on CT side to taking a step back.
definitely. Definitely. All right, well, let's move away from Falcons. I think we've done
Yeah.
enough touching on them. Let's go on to G2 next before we get into our playoffs teams. I think we got G2 and FaZe to look at here as notable ones. For G2, right? Some Pius, obviously, I hold in pretty high regard. I think he can do some good damage always. Sometimes he's been a bit off, depending on like when he gets going. Actually, on stages, he performs better
Yeah.
than he does just in normal group stage games. Obviously, Saw, we're rating very highly overall because of how he's been able to do things with the projects he's and the players he's had. Like, look at the Ents lineup, look at these heroic lineups. He's constantly been able to go above what people expect of his teams. But I didn't check the actual rating, so let me bring this up now before I get to it because I just remember Matty's obviously comes from Fnatic, but
Yep.
he impressed me. Like he ends with a 0.99 rating. No one really other than MOUZ had like a great rating. Some Pius had an awful tournament considering obviously he's coming into this new team. But
Yep.
G2 didn't play bad. Like everyone's talking about Hunter leading. They lost to Vitality. They beat 3D Max 2-0. They beat Furia 2-0. But then they lost to Furia in the lower bracket elimination game. But they could have been in playoffs.
They could
Like,
definitely have been in playoff. I mean, as you
oh,
said, they lost overtime against Furia, and they beat Furia in the previous one. Stayed close. I think, you know, they're also gonna have a lot of like kind of Sampayas getting open with completely new teammates and probably I think there's a lot of shifting for him because he was the big star in heroic, and I'm not sure you can really say that he's like the big star in IG2. He's more gonna have to get in with the common folk. I almost said.
That's a way to put it.
Yeah, but something along those lines. You know, he can't be like, I'm gonna do everything exactly like I did in the past.
I'm happy with it though. For Hunter's first in-game leader, run with it. You know, getting to work with Saw as well. I'm sure there's even more changes Saw wants to add into it. This is not a team maybe to get excited about yet, but they put up a good placing, not a great placing, but a good placing for the new team. When everyone was kind of down and out on them because they lost NiKo and they lost MongolZ, and it's like, oh, you can't recover from that. And then a lot of people I saw saying, well, they have no star players now. Well, maybe give them some time to cook here.
I mean, I'd say so, and I mean, they did place above Falcons in the
that's
tournament.
Even more funny.
So
we took all Falcons money and we placed higher than you and got more prize money than you.
Yeah, so like you have to say it's acceptable, especially, you know, it's a huge change for them, changing like converting to an IGL for Hunter.
Yep.
But I'm happy to see like MOUZ really getting in form again. He was devastated when the lineup kind of was over.
And he was so harsh on himself when he didn't perform.
So that's really nice to see. Yeah, it's an exciting G2, to be honest.
And then we got to look at FaZe because broky was back, and I loved how Carrigan gave away in the interview that, like, I don't know, it's kind of awful in some ways, but he said that they were already talking to broky and telling me he could come back while they were playing the major and Simple was there. Like, so any chance and hope that people said that Simple would stay on FaZe seemed to be already out the window before they even got to the playoffs, when obviously that's why Simple didn't perform as good as what was expected of the GOAT. But broky basically got just an extended holiday and a bit of a kickback in the sense of go fix yourself, go get some extra time you need. And I think Carrigan described it as a punishment, you know?
Yep.
And sometimes you need a kick in the balls every now and again or a slap round the face in order to realize that, you know, like, you need to try harder, you need to work hard, you need to do more, you know, you need to get back into it, because it's not an easy game where you can sit back and just rest, especially if you're on FaZe as well, you know?
No, but I mean, we can reference even when we had the conversation with Hooksy, and he was talking about like he likes to have the pressure that he's not safe. That's when he like kicks in and works hard and likes to perform in. Even though it is sometimes it can be overwhelming, obviously, but having a little bit of a reminder, okay, I'm not immortal in this lineup. I can't just do whatever I want. I have to actually also step up on the server and perform. Which, to be honest, broky looked a lot better than the last time I saw him. Which is,
by the way, physically looked better. I didn't see him in person because he'd already left by the time I got here. But just from the pictures, it felt like, I don't know, maybe he'd gone. I'm just guessing, but maybe he'd done some gym or something else. You know, like probably. he looked a bit physically better as well, which obviously that's always going to be a positive for him. Looking at the results for FaZe though, it's like, first of all, Rain had one of those events where, I don't know, maybe he was just happy to be back with broky. Maybe just felt like something was clicking for him. But never count Rain out. Just never count him out. This guy can do almost anything. He can hit this form. I think it was the Aurora game? They got the 13-1.
Yep. On Mirage.
Yeah, it was that game. And then they dominated Aurora. They dominated Liquid. Aurora, again, we come back to that. They played with a stand-in, so fair enough. Liquid, they've got a lot of problems. I think the problem they had was they faced NAVI twice. They lost 2-1 to NAVI in the first game. It was obviously makazze's first ever game in Tier 1 as well. But then NAVI leveled up as they were playing games. And when they faced FaZe the second time, it was just, they would already improve. They'd already worked some things out, you know. NAVI are known for long days, long practice days, Blade pushing everyone to go further. And then they do show improvement quite a lot across the tournament. But I still think for FaZe, 7th Dave's they're not happy. But to come back with broky, to have been in the situation they've been in across the last year, it's an acceptable performance. I'm not going to be
I think it is
screaming about it.
I think you're starting to look at it with some hope through the scope, because before everyone looked like they couldn't hit a shot, everything was wrong. They're tilting. They're not a single person on the team thought it was acceptable to some extent. But now you're actually seeing people pop off, and like some of that individual brilliance they all have starts to shine through again, and you can see how they kind of enjoy the game to a certain extent. So maybe like the having to play or having played with Simple kind of gave them that kind of kickstart.
He's demanding. He's very demanding.
And like also maybe you start thinking about Counter-Strike in a little bit different ways. And once you've unlocked that kind of thought process, a lot of other stuff starts making sense. And maybe it was good that because they obviously talked about Simple being a little bit demanding, not afraid to call people out when they made mistakes in practice, etc. And maybe they adopted some of that as well, so that they could have a little bit of more efficient practice and yield better results from it.
On one thing I want to touch on, because people seem to always allow Karrigan to get away with it, though. Karrigan, 0.78 rating. Obviously, it's not terrible, but I mean, when do we now need to sit back and say we need a little bit more from you? Because that could be the difference maker here, Because I'm happy if I see him like a 0.90, 0. I don't know, let's say 88, something like that. It's not great, but I feel like he maybe had to manage all this stuff going through the team and all the changes, and then this performance drops off again. But if he can have a little bit more without just relying on the rest of his team to do it, that can be we've been here before with him, right? Where he said, I've been back grinding DM, I've been back less on the tactics, more on, are we just in that mode where it's back to more strategic and tactical team stuff, and now I've dropped off a bit and we have to fix this? Obviously, there's a balance with it, but we are in this position where your Apexes, your choppers, your blitzes, for example, are putting more number output. And I've always said with this on you of saying like, it's not just about the numbers and the stats with it. There's a lot of reasons and factors that go into it, but being that low can also be a bit of a hindrance, right?
I mean, yes, to a certain extent.
We can't just let him get away with it just because he's Karrigan.
No, I don't think so as well. I think when you drop to 0.78, I don't think he's happy with himself and his performance. Absolutely not. But usually, I also think when you look at, the way Karrigan plays, and he's usually very aggressive, he's very likes to go first. In that sense, it can be really hard once you're stuck in this kind of suicide role, and then finding your flow in a game when this is the best call, but you're going to be able to put yourself in a terrible position because of it. It's like
it's what you're setting
individual responsibility versus team responsibility thing. But yeah, I think it definitely needs to step up, and probably I'd say they'd probably win a lot more matches if his rating was more at 0.9. I think that's completely acceptable.
That's what I'm looking for from him, personally.
And that can even be really, really good considering some of the positions and situations he puts himself in.
Yeah, definitely. All right, well, FaZe is getting there. It's slowly but surely getting there. It was nice to see broky back. I think broky actually performed really well. I think this break for broky was beneficial, and I like that he's back. But I need to see more. It can't just be this one event. I know I need to see broky back on his bullshit again. That's what we need to see. The broky bullshit is real. So let's start looking at our playoffs teams in here. Let's go through the playoffs. As I'll start with the first playoff game we had. It was NAVI taking on MongolZ. We can get into NAVI a little bit later because we know we got a bit more special mode to go onto it. But I'll just say that For NAVI, MongolZ had been a problem. Winning that Inferno was crazy. Like, I was in the arena I watched all of it from the best seat in the house, basically. Right down on the floor in the middle of it all. And NAVI had the game, and then it started to slip away from them. They cost themselves a bit on the CT side. But once they got into overtime, at times it felt like they had it, but it was like, can't win some CT rounds, then can win some CT rounds. Are we going to fail it here? But once they got through that, I think makazze, let's just check makazze's T side rating. So CT was really good. T side, he struggled for a bit.
Yeah, T side he struggled a lot, but I think MongolZ had everything to win Inferno. And I think because they lost from that 10-4 lead, I think they lost to like Alexi B picking up like a 5-7 and killing them on like an anti-force on B site. And that started the comeback for Navi on the CT side, where they got to pick up a bunch of weapons. They mounted 5 rounds in a row, and MongolZ couldn't really, chain any rounds together. There was a lot of close, like kind of clutch moments, and you could really see the frustration in MongolZ, like what we should have closed this, because they were almost playing with Navi at a certain point, and it felt like they became a little bit overconfident, just walking into that B site and got punished, and then they just never found the groove again. Also, makazze was huge on the CT side. Picked up, I think he had like something like 3 kills on the T side and 9 deaths, and I think he was like pretty much a top performer for Navi at the end. Picked up like a 3K, 3K, 2K, multi-kills, like multiple rounds in a row to bring them to overtime. And yeah, it was a joy to watch Navi, and it felt like I don't know. We're gonna go into this. I don't know if we should do it now or if we should move on to the playoff bracket and revisit this conversation.
Let's also talk about that spirit game before we get to it.
Yeah. Okay.
So we can go from here to talk a bit about, obviously, the MOUZ Furia game. That was the other quarterfinals one. Furia had that. Furia should have been in the semifinals. They threw that Inferno. What were they up? They were up 11-7.
I mean, you could say they threw Train as well to some degree.
Dude, it was... I felt bad for them because MongolZ is legit. I actually put MongolZ as like my potential. If he had a full year playing with Furia, he'd be rookie of the year. He'd be rookie of the year by far. I love what I'm seeing from him.
I mean, the only problem is there's some rookies that are really, really good this year. Let's just put it that way. There's a lot of rookies that are really good.
Who am I forgetting that I'm overrating this? You're not going to say kyousuke, are you? Because he's going to struggle as well because he's only had half a year.
Yeah, but I mean, you have obviously MongolZ, you have kyousuke, you have makazze now.
But makazze and kyousuke are only starting from this point, right? Sway as well.
Yeah. If Sway, I have to actually check.
See, that's what I'm thinking. MongolZ got a little leg up on these guys by starting earlier.
Yeah, he did. Let me see.
Maybe I'm just
there's a bunch of kind of new ones in Heroic, as an example. There's a bunch of GamerLegion.
No, none of them would I put into PR. Maybe PR potentially. Yeah. I give PR some credit, but I still think MongolZ just has more moments.
It might actually be now. Like as you say, it might actually be rookie of the year at the moment. I'll agree on that.
Getting that Astana event, double playoffs now. You know, he's showing himself. He's definitely showing himself.
No, I agree on that.
So MOUZ were on the ropes across this series. Yeah, they were struggling massively.
Yeah,
and I feel like, what's this? 58th, right, for at the major as well for Furia. Fissure was pretty bad, but then you have a very solid run at Cologne, and I know it hurts them. I spoke to MongolZ, I spoke to kyousuke as well when I've been here, but I spoke to Sid, the coach, as well, and I just said to him, like, we're seeing progress. Like, this is still good. I know you're not going as far as you want, and the trophy's not come, but there's a lot of changes in this team. You're trusting MongolZ, and he's having the impact you need. You swapped languages, like you've got your kind of part translating half the time for MongolZ as well. I'm really in on this Furia, man. I really like it.
I think they're super exciting. Super exciting.
MOUZ are just lucky that it was Furia dropping the ball. Otherwise, they would not have even made it to the grand final. They wouldn't have stood a chance in it. But MOUZ have that ability, right? MOUZ have kind of like a new FaZe style where even when the chips are down, they've got enough belief in each other and enough individuals that it can quickly change around. Like Xertion's the most craziest one, right? Because sometimes he can have games where he is botting out, like having no success. And then suddenly the last 3-4 rounds of a game, he'll be like, okay, I figured it out. And I'll say one thing. He doesn't seem to he can have the worst game and he can still come back into it.
Yeah.
He's not someone that's given up.
But I think all MOUZ players kind of have that ability to some degree. But yeah, Xertion being more of the aggressive, especially like
in his entry
entering and CT sides, always, putting himself first. And you'll have to give him some respect that he never shies away from it, no matter how bad of a game he has. That he continues to do what, is said by the team that this is your role and your responsibility to do, that he keeps doing it.
He's like, I'll keep running it. I'll keep trying, even if the chips are down. Then we can look at let's look at MOUZ vitality. And you're going to have to do all the legwork here, mate, because I saw nothing. I was stuck in my signing session for all of this. So MOUZ have lost 7 games in a row to vitality. Vitality is their kryptonite. I'm just going to go stat man for a moment and be one of the people I hate. Zyru had a 0.63
but
rating.
This is the worst game I've ever seen from Zyru. And
I'm shocked.
He didn't
in Cologne.
The thing is, he didn't really it's not like he was bad.
Yeah.
But he wasn't.
Stats-wise, he was bad.
Yes, but
actually.
Yes, but he just never got the opportunities. He consistently got, I guess, to some extent, he was not as aware as I'd normally see a Zyru. Where he's like, he knows exactly where everyone is on the map consistently. He got caught off a couple of times, which was like not something I'm used to seeing from Zyru. But overall, I mean, the only person that was even remotely recognizable in that Vitality team was Rops, who had to he aced around from A ramp. He did a 1v4-ish, 1v3, depending on how you cut it. And he was the only one keeping them in the game. Like, they could have been a lot more stomped than the score-wise actually shows. Yes.
Okay.
On Mirage, this could have been a 13-5 victory for MOUZ Sports if it wasn't for Rops.
I'm gonna have to watch this back to understand, because I know how much MOUZ wanted this, but it's also, I didn't expect it. I expected if they're gonna win, it's gonna be a brawl, it's gonna be a fight. Vitality are gonna push into the very last minute, like what we expect from them. I've only heard the things from Twitter and stuff as well, but I heard that Apex said that maybe they should have come back earlier from break, or been more on the game time or something. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm reading headlines.
I mean, to be fair, they fought and played pretty much every possible game they could play of Counter-Strike last half of the season. Except the first tournament. They probably deserved to have a little bit of a break. Now, obviously, like when we talk to Apex, the hardest thing is to stay on top and kind of keep that hunger and revisit those goals and kind of keep the grind going. But rather have a fast wake-up call like this than a gradual kind of decline.
A slow decline into it.
Yeah.
second place,
like a slap in the
into
face,
struggling.
kind of, and it's still like we're complaining about Vitality's play against MOUZ here. Still, it's like one of the worst performances for them in the entire year, and they're semi-final.
Yeah, that's most teams would be happy with that. Most teams would take that and be like, "This is fine. I'm good with this." But
yeah.
did you? You said you watched it, right? Did
Yeah.
you watch it from the VOD?
Yeah, I watched the VOD with the casters.
What was the thing where someone said about like Apex was screaming at Flames? Like, we know he can be like this and emotional. Was there something shown? Was there something I missed?
I mean, I did hear they went into some kind of, beep beep voice, like bombs mid game. But honestly, I couldn't hear shit what he said, and I didn't like restart it. I just didn't understand it, if I'm completely honest. So I don't know what was said.
I'm guessing he was trying to get them spurred on, right? We know what Apex can be like, but I mean, 37 best of threes and best of fives, the best season of all time, and absolute dominance. They did start off their year by losing the first event, and this was the first event for them of the next part of the season as well. So anyone that's going to write them off just from this doesn't understand like what ability's there. And this is probably a great wake-up call for them in terms of back to it, boys. This isn't what Vitality's accepting.
Yeah, and I think it's a healthy wake-up call. And it's probably good that they got a little bit slapped now, so they understand it's not like they got lucky. They actually got outcalled, they got outplayed. So there was a lot of things. It wasn't that, one guy popped off. If you look at like highlights on HLTV, it's all Rop's highlights. So it's Vitality were lucky they weren't.
It actually is.
So
right.
Vitality were lucky.
I was playing bad. I can get MVP. Let's win this. Let's go. Finally, it could be my
a chance.
He's like, please. He's like, will you just play bad? The rest of us play good. I can be the one finally to get an MVP.
So maybe it was even Rops who poisoned Saivu before the game just to have a chance.
Someone's gonna clip it and actually make that like someone will throw that at them. Rob secretly. Also, the good thing is with Rob still having a good performance, no one can say shit about his Porsche and what he's doing with that. No one can complain about that at all.
No, but Rops was amazing. And he would have been the best performer on the server if he got a little bit more gun runs to play with.
So what you're saying is he got a Porsche buff. He actually played better.
Porsche buff. No, he was insane.
This is real. Oh, that's good.
He was truly insane.
Anyway. Yeah. All right, so we won't go from this then into the NAVI one. Let's just talk about what we're going to do next with NAVI, because they lost to Spirit. They but they could have won 2-0 against Spirit and been in the final. I spoke to Alexi. I've been spending a lot of time with Wonderful. I spoke to makazze a bit as well. I would say I was just giving him a lot of love and a lot of praise, because I think it's very hard to come into NAVI who have so much structure in this Blade way. And like he even told me personally, he said, dude, there's so many things written down and all these things I need to go through that it's like, it's a lot. You can't be ready. And their map pool realistically wasn't that strong. Like he's not remembering everything. They're not going to be fully there on all the maps. This was a great performance, and it's just in the cruise. Like they should have won Mirage, or at least had it in overtime. I feel like they should have won Mirage. Nuke, they did really well on. And then Ancient, that was like the go-to good map. They were just getting absolutely smashed on in the end by Donk'd. Like that's just the way it was going. And I don't think there's anything wrong with how they approach things, really. They'll be sad about it. But this is like this for me, this is positives. Like you got a brand new player in. makazze is the aggression that was missing. How many times did we see in the past where like JL should be going in for something, but then they back off or they're not too sure? Like when JL was feeling a game, he will go for everything and every kill. But sometimes if his confidence wasn't there, or if he was getting smashed down banana or something, he wouldn't be able to take it. makazze was not scared. Like, bro, sometimes he was just rolling out, dominating Donk'd, and then rolling on the rest of Spirit and saving crucial rounds. Like, there was multiple times I was thinking, this guy actually has no fear. And when I spoke to makazze personally, he goes, I'm not scared of anyone. He goes, Donk'd is just a name. And remember, he's been playing in this lower tier. He's played against the Spirit Academies of the world and stuff like that. He's dealt with this before. Donk's just another player to him. And that's the level of confidence these younger players are coming with because of the way they're coming up in a different way to our more veteran players.
There's also a little bit of the Albanian fire in him as well.
He did say, by the way, he spoke to our boys. He spoke to the B&E boys, and they just told him, like, be shouting, be loud, like, just go for it. And he did say the first stage part of the game, he was not like that. He was more quiet because it was like, it was a lot. And remember, I feel bad for him for this reason. You play the first game of the playoffs, and there's the opening ceremony where all teams walk on stage, which means you do your warm-up and setup, yeah? And then maybe 40 minutes to an hour, you don't touch the game because you have to do this walk-in and all the stuff, yeah? And then also the adrenaline's going because you've never stepped on it. So he didn't just have like a normal stage walkout.
Oh.
He had like the
you
most
couldn't just
intense...
sneak from backstage into the PC.
No, it wasn't like just... No, even this, right? Think of a normal walkout on the semi-finals day as just walk out with both teams, you go and play your game. And that's maybe like a 15, 20-minute break. This was almost 40 minutes to an hour break because it's the big grand opening of Cologne 2025. First of all, it's his first ever. He stood there, bless him, with his Kosovo flag, which is beautiful to see. You know, they all had their flags up, by the way, the NAVI boys. And then he has to be basically not warmed up, all the adrenaline's pumping, and then it's like, you're in your game. Like there's for people to understand, there is no time for the rest of the players who've experienced this before. They've gone through it. They understand it. There's nothing that can prepare him for that. Nothing at all. And he still played well. And
he did. And he grew during the tournament. And even looking at this like Spirit Navi game, Navi should have won against Spirit. Like they should have actually made it to the grand final, in my opinion. I'm loving that Spirit Navi kind of rivalry is reborn, where it isn't just Navi.
Yeah, it's not just dominant getting smashed. Yeah, thank God.
That is, it's close, and you could see there was a lot of frustration on Spirit. They clawed their way back on that Mirage, which, I thought that Navi should probably have won, having that 7-1 lead on the T side.
Navi had it. They started off so good on every map except Ancient.
Yeah. Ancient, they got smashed, but they could have easily won that Mirage.
Did you see the Nuke one where like makazze gets 4 kills, 2 AWP, 1 Tech 9, and then an M4 kill? Bro, that was ridiculous. Like he did everything crazy. And by the way, the secondary AWP mode that was normally put onto like bit, makazze picking it up a bit there as well was something I didn't expect. Like I wasn't ready for that. And he can be okay with it. Obviously, we need to see some more as first event, but I mean, like,
no, but overall,
he's got
really
a good arsenal of weaponry with him. So from that, let's nicely go into this Devilwalk. It's our second Devilwalk through of the podcast because we're going to look into some of the changes up for Navi in here, which is obviously, it's a very different way. It's not like you're giving makazze everything, right? As far as I understand it. He's not had the treatment that kyousuke's had here. All right, so for this special Devil walkthrough, it's Navi time now. And I guess for me, mate, the questions are looking at just the comparison of positions between Navi with JL and then with makazze. Looking at how that compares to, obviously, we saw already with Falcons, kyousuke getting everything he wanted. And also, Ima had like such a good performance. Way better than in recent times.
Yeah.
I don't know actually if it was factual, but at one point, he was having his best ever performance in a Navi jersey. Let me have a look at that. Because he was playing so good. And I want to see maybe if those changes helped him in any way for that. So that's what I wanted to get into with you and see all of that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think if we just look a little bit, we can look at a little bit first here, like this is a kind of a B-poppy round with IEM and JL kind of moving first. And IEM is jumping out first, he's checking everything, he's clearing, and he's getting killed from the back. And we see JL here, he has a little bit more of a passive kind of role. He takes a space, kind of holds an angle rather than follow IEM to a certain extent to kind of get those trades. We did get a trade here in the end by Bit and Wonderful jumping out of the window. But it's, I think, leaving IM a little bit too isolated. He's doing his job good. He's trying to clear, trying to find someone out. They get the trade because of it, but there's no real follow through. It's a little bit slow here on the B site. Um, and I think we can even bring this up to a video if we look at it from this perspective. It's the in-game
Yep.
perspective of the same round, where you kind of follow JL's kind of point of view, and you see I am dying there over at electric box, people filling it, but then it kind of slows down, and rotations kind of have a chance to kind of chime in and take spots on the site. Not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily bad, but it's a different way of playing. If we're gonna kind of compare this to a makazze round,
Yep.
makazze is the one going first. I am following, and makazze is just straight running. He's going to take the space, move out, and I am much closer and
Yeah.
dropping down with him eventually to kind of cover that initial, space taker role, because he's played that role in the past. He knows
Yep.
what's up. He knows what he needs help with, and it doesn't take as much of a passive kind of position where JL took behind Car.
It's quite
Um,
funny because I saw this first one was when I was watching on Ancient, and I saw there was so many rounds. I think it was against FaZe where Immer was like, McCarthy's going. Immer was so close to him, and then sometimes Immer was just ready for that first contact, even just crouched behind McCarthy, and it was like a double wombo combo attack.
yeah,
like being ready to just pounce and on point. And I feel like that suits Immer's style. And also, Makazi is not scared. He's just going in. There's no falling back. He's just straight running and fighting.
but it is one of those things where I even, looking at things, I've never seen him as like a pure entry fragger. It's kind of just been a role he's had to take in this
Yeah,
Navi
he's been forced
for
into it.
things to make sense. He's a great playmaker. He's good at playing around smokes, doing damage, using utility, and sometimes taking that all-in duel. But he's not that kind of flicky entry, checking every spot kind of guy, which Masake most certainly is. He likes to push forward, likes to take that space, and I think that's the biggest difference. There are some other differences for IM on other maps where he takes more of a lurking position and
Mm-hmm.
maybe gets a little bit more time to play around. We can see around here, for example, he now goes as the kind of lurk here on short to kind
Yeah.
of join in, and Makase just cleans house with that speed he has, where he just goes
And
straight in, takes the duels. He just drops out B apps here and chases people down. He does it in such a smart way.
do you know what? It's good as well because how many people were telling the world, you need to cut Immer. He's not the one. He's not good. And it's like, I said this and people just said, because I'm biased to Navi, that like, oh, you're just saying that because you like him. But his contribution to the team in terms of communication, talking, ideas, what he brings to the table was so big. And it's almost like this situation now, even though it's just the early event, it's the first things we're looking at, just suits him better in being able to be the better version of himself.
Yeah, and actually looked at one round or two comparison. I don't have the round now, but I'll just write like kind of draw it for you. So I
Yep.
timed the round where JL essentially started here in a B pop situation.
Mm-hmm.
Here we see this is where Makase started. After 5 seconds, Makase was out here, and JL came to this position because he's much more slow paced and
A lot
cleary
more
in the way
careful.
that he goes through it. But he started from
Yeah.
a longer position away and just jumped straight out, went to default, and it becomes this. Even if Makasa dies, he gets into that role where he has very flicky aim as well. So sometimes it just looks insane when he jumps out like this, and he has that
He
speed
clears a lot
on
faster on things.
yeah
He's
on A
got that
ramp as
like
well.
ready, ready, ready.
He's very very fast on taking space, and I think it gives the rest of the players kind of filling the void and coming in a lot more sense of what's going on, what I need to cover. It's not as chaotic. Like if you're positioned in these positions
Yeah.
and had your entry die here, all of a sudden, there's so many positions they can walk out. Maybe there's a smoke popped. They gain so much space where they can move around, and you're still afraid of rotations coming in and AWPing and whatever. So
Yeah.
it eliminates moves. It also gives these people to kind of position themselves better, because that he's not afraid. He will push all the way front market
Mm-hmm.
and pressure the opponent, and they can kind of react on that information and get into better positions for the afterplant. So I think
So,
that's a key area of what makes Navi also a little bit more dangerous now on certain
yep.
maps. Mirage is one of those where I feel like it looks better, it looks cleaner, it looks faster, and I personally am a fan of it. There are other maps where I think makazze maybe could learn from JL, taking it a little bit slower, especially when
Yeah.
he's on a solo role. But in terms of roles, if we just look quickly, so now obviously we're not going to find a round where he has that, but in general, he has that B apps role. So unless
Mm-hmm.
they're doing something very specific, like holding for an anti-eco or something, then they'll probably leave IEM here alone. makazze kind of filling in a gap for a bit so they don't get pushed and lose the map control.
Uh-huh.
But otherwise, he is a straight swap with JL on that B apps, with IEM
Okay.
still going under. So there's no role swap essentially, except that
Yep.
I am on like rounds, that he gets to be more of a trader kind of person rather than
Second one
the
in.
first, yeah, than the first guy
Yeah.
out. And if we
What is it
look
like on
at,
the CT side?
on the CT side, it's also a straight swap.
Okay.
So makazze is short, where
Yep.
JL used to be, and JL used to like to go into ladder room when I checked things, at least the last couple of games, and they were obviously struggling a little bit at the end.
Yeah.
IM and makazze actually looked quite off sync, where, for example, Imme would be here in the corner close con, and JL would be in ladder room, and they didn't really have the sync. But now we see a much more active makazze, willing to kind of, you see here they both back off at the same time. It's not worth it. They get into positions where they can cover for each other and play a little bit more safer. There's also things where when makazze is actually playing ladder, you have him a little bit more in the crossfire here, so they can cover each other. Like if
Mm-hmm.
makazze wants to cover this side, him has his window boost, etc., etc. So they're playing a little bit more together. And also, I think because they are playing more together, Im is not as isolated and dies as often entry, because makazze can be there and cover a lot more with his presence.
So they're covering each other and
Um,
they're actually working
yeah, I
together
think
already
they,
from the beginning.
and I also think the whole team looks a little bit sharper in the way when they want to clear things, they go as a
Mm-hmm.
group, they have flashes ready, they're moving as a unit, which was something that lacked a little bit more. It seemed a little bit more
Could
hesitant
that
to
be
do.
could that be just because like a new player comes in, it's that rejuvenation of sorts? Because
I
they
think
spoke
I don't
about
think
being the
it's a
same
JL
team.
problem thing.
Yeah.
I think it's more like rehashing old rules and like, this is how we want to do things. Okay, now everyone's refreshed on it. There's no doubt in our minds.
We know what
Maybe
we're
old
doing.
rules, yeah, exactly. It's like old things
Yeah.
that you maybe didn't really rehash, or maybe it's too obvious to talk about. We should know this. Um, so I think there's definitely a certain degree of that. But yeah, I think they looked great. makazze didn't have like crazy performances every map, but I think that the sync felt better, and
Mm-hmm.
especially coming to the playoff, he was insane,
Yeah.
and I think he grew in the tournament. But having a person like that who's willing to go first, or willing to kind of step out short, or whatever it is. See here when they're playing ladder and jungle, a little bit more secure. I've seen demos with JL would be in ladder and Imme here in con and be just completely isolated. But I think
And
that's really, really nice to see that they have that sort of communication, and probably Imme is
mhm.
the one like kind of ruling it. Okay, let's do it this way or that way.
Yeah,
and he just
makazze's
follows
probably in a
along.
position where he's going to listen, right? At this point,
Yeah.
You're the young rookie coming in. You're playing on big NAVI now. You've got the dream call up. You've actually now done better than any Kosovo player, despite our boys doing well at majors, right? You've gone to a Cologne playoffs on your first event at 18 years old. It's not a full Albanian Kosovo team, but you're doing the country proud. I've even met Kosovo fans, by the way, and Albanian fans in the arena. Obviously, the Albanians are everywhere, right? And they came to support their boy. But it's like, there's pressure on him from his own community at the same time of what expectations are had on him and the way he wants to play. But if he learns from these players around him, all the experience they have, this is going to be something he can really thrive in and grow in.
Yeah, and then we have Inferno, which is also a straight swap on both sides of the map. makazze is playing on the banana side here, and on CT side he will be a B player as well. So
okay, so
nothing is
it's just
changed
basically
in terms
normal.
of it's like Bit is apps, Ima is kind of second mid boiler, Alexi wonderful ramp supporting the banana player. The one thing that I think makazze is struggling with a little bit is he does tend to take a lot of damage and nade damage early
From
on in the
you too.
rounds.
I saw that.
So
he got bullied, man. He do you know what is this right in saying that he probably didn't get punished for this in tier 2 or tier 3, whatever?
To a certain degree, because I think in tier 2 and tier 3 teams, they can sometimes become a little bit robotic, and they're every single round nading here, or every single round. Like they don't switch it up as much. So you've probably got caught off guard a little bit with that. There's a lot of switch up and a lot of different ways to apply that utility pressure. But one thing that JL did really good on this map is that he waited a lot in this kind of wall side by where the smoke pops, waited for when utility popped, and then asked for flashes to pop in. So that's a little bit of a key
more
difference.
patience.
JL had a bit more patience and didn't take as much damage in banana. I think that's something that makazze could probably learn or try to find out. But he did play banana on NAVI Junior.
And this is great, right? Because he's been punished for this in his first bits of games. And I'll say this, even though he was bullied the hell out of, he came back into that game. He is resilient and he still had the confidence. He didn't get it knocked.
He did. And one of the things I was really impressed with was they're still playing that kind of same kind of, they want to early be able to flash and peek and kind of deny, tease that kind of early control towards the half wall, and punish anyone walking in. But I think he's so good at this thing where like they're moving together into the site, getting a lot of multi kills together with Alexi B. They're playing great in synergy, just crushing people. We can see it here again. This time they're in like a force buy situation, and you see there's like a little bit of an exchange here on banana. makazze takes some damage. They're still pressuring, making sure there's not a freebie to come here. Now they're walking back into the site, shifting some utility, getting into a setup. And remember here, makazze has MP9, Alexi B MP9. They're pretty much 100 HP together against a 5-man MongolZ. You see makazze here with the flash, he gets a double kill, he backs off. He's still very low on HP, and he manages to get a third one here as they plant the bomb, and they can just clean up. So that's a very, very, very good round for them. And
and he came back for Ima to give him the backup as well, right? So Alexi died. He got his 2 kills, but then he didn't try and overextend for a thing that rookies would often do.
Exactly. So he's super good at this, like, weirdly enough, defensive play on B side, Inferno. I was super impressed with him. He got multiple, like, this is not even enough. You could show probably 4 or 5 more of these rounds where he got multi kills on B side to save them in this game of Inferno. So super impressed with that. But it was this kind of nading. He got naded a lot on banana. And we see here some rounds just for funsies.
Just eating damage. Poor guy. That can be the life of a banana player.
Yeah. and obviously, like, you get into these positions, and all of a sudden there's just raining nades down as they're kind of retaking B. So learning this kind of stuff where need to be a little bit more passive,
Mm-hmm.
I think is going to be something that, yeah, he needs to learn to either start baiting a little bit more to not receive as much damage, or move into you know, that passive role of banana and kind of retaking it.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, that was this Inferno. And on Nuke, here there is a couple of changes.
Okay.
Because if we look at the I'll just explain it. So JL used to be inside, right? With
Mm-hmm.
Imme. Alexi B used to be the outside player. Now makazze has taken the outside spot, right? Alexi B has moved inside with Imme. One big thing that they used to do a lot, having kind of like two of your star riflers holding the inside, they used to do a lot of like lobby pushes, pushing through smokes, kind of be
I remember
aggressive
JL doing
into
that a
that
lot.
lob. Yeah, in that lobby
Yeah, that
space. It's a
lurk smoke in
little bit
lobby and then
less.
push
Yeah,
behind him.
exactly. So they used to like push door and kind of double prong attack or double through it. There's a little bit less of that, I'd say.
Okay.
And there's a little bit more kind of from makazze wanting to stay a little bit more outside compared
Yeah.
to Alexu kind of wanted to be tucked into the corner in main a little bit more. That's kind of like the key differences from the CT side. So there's not as much. Um, let's say Imme used to rotate down vent and he used to kill people from short or long stairs a little bit more, or jump
Mm-hmm.
short. But now he's a little bit more there trying to take that fight towards yard,
And he's
and
got the
kill them
backup
a
of
little bit.
makazze again.
Yeah,
We gotta watch this so much at future events as well, of just how makazze and Imra are gonna play well together. Because it seems like
yeah.
they're gonna be put into that position so much, even on CT side.
And on T side, it's also a few role changes, mostly from Imme taking that lobby lurk and makazze taking Imme's role of the yard player.
Yep. Was that what he
So
did on Navi Junior? Was he also yard then?
yeah.
Okay.
So here it's a big change for Imme. He gets to be in a little bit of a lurk role. I think he likes this kind of role where he kind of sneaks out, drops out vent, or
Very
sneaks
smart
out
player
to
as
try
well, so it makes
to,
sense.
yeah, to kind of take random duels. So I remember watching a little bit about JL and Imme. I'm just going through rounds, but either way, I'll just show it in writing because there's so
Mm-hmm.
many Skybox Edge rounds I had to keep track of. But Imme and JL, the biggest difference is JL pretty much always wanted to lurk out door and T-vent. Imme
Mm-hmm.
is a little bit more flexible, joining in on hut. But the main difference is JL wanted to tuck into the smoke here and aim top hut to try to catch people off guard, and then drop vent after he cleared a little bit. Imme likes to just go straight down vent and hold, and kind of cash the rotation off. We saw it even against Spirit, like Donk'd got caught off guard, rotating down vent one round when Imme was
Yeah.
there. Um, so there's a couple of situations where the dynamic is changed, obviously, with a little bit of an aggressive yard player and a little bit more sneaky door player in this case, where JL likes to take the, yeah, catching people off guard on hut.
Mm-hmm.
Both can work to their advantages, but it's a small change in dynamic. But otherwise, they play pretty much the same. And if we actually, yeah, I'm actually going to show a clip here of not that, of here. So this is essentially what I was talking about. If you look at Imme dropping down, holding down the vent, just waiting for people, and you see they're going for that kind of ramp push. And CTs don't really have an idea what's going on.
Yeah.
And if we move on into a JL, he likes to go out on this T event, trying to aim for a top hut player or trying to catch someone off guard, hiding in that smoke and finding a timing. So he's a little bit more, I want to try and catch a kill. While
Yeah, one
Imma
for the
is,
kill than the space.
yeah. So there's advantages to both. But I think in this case, I think Imme has more successful rate at least forcing more rotations around if they notice that Imme is down there. It's a very
You're going to
awkward
upset
way
what they've
to
got.
force CTs to rotate down into secrets or force them into that ramp or lobby push as a reaction. And obviously you gain a lot of information here. But if JL, for example, if you die here early out the event, you can kind of lose, a lot of the control that you've gained pretty fast if you're doing the ramp push.
By the way, I truly believe had NAVI beat Spirit here, we'd be talking about NAVI being champions of Cologne right now. Not because
It's
anything
very,
about
very
MOUZ
possible.
being bad, but it feels like where MOUZ was so happy they beat Vitality, that like they didn't come with their A game. And this version of NAVI would be for a grand final again, first time with this new team, they would be so on it. Might not be in the same fashion as 3-0 or something like that, but I mean, I've got that belief in it just because of how MOUZ are playing on it. Just on a side note here, because of how close this was and how good this game finally was from NAVI to put up a fight against the Spirit that they haven't been able to do for so long.
So I'd say this is the map, Ancient, where the most role changes happen for Navi.
Okay.
So
and this is the makazze specialist map. This is the one he loves, his favorite.
So essentially, what I'll tell you here is Alexi B has actually moved into that B lurker role, at least early game, where Bit is actually taking Alexi B's role of being the second support in case they need to go fast mid and have 4 flashes, etc. in timing. Who then joins, Alexi B. And Bit used to be that second guy out mid with Imme. So now this is obviously dependent on spawns, who is going first and not. So it's not like Imme is the pure
it's not
entry
a straight entry
here,
one.
or
Yeah,
no,
it's timing.
It's all based on the spawns, who's gonna go first, depending on how early they are. So that obviously leaves, gonna have obviously these more rounds. But I'm gonna try to find. Here we see Bit has kind of taken that role of flashing, and Alexi B going straight into it. So that's the biggest thing on T side. Obviously, there's role changes again on the CT side, but I'd still argue that this is a better combo where makazze can go kind of straight out. You see how fast he wants to take the space, and there's potential.
He was constantly getting into red as well. His red and donut control, he was always ready.
And it's a little bit special having Alexi B here on, the caller kind of isolated here on the B side.
On his own, on an island.
But I think he can probably do it a little bit better than, because I mean, having Bit hitting the sides with this amount of riflers, I think this is a good fit for them still, because he can join in and be lurky anyways and gains a lot of information here to make the calls.
Okay.
On CT side, it's a little bit of a weird one, because you have makazze kind of taking Imme's old role with Donut. Imme kind of being in red a lot more than Wonderful. It almost looks to me like Wonderful is the A player, and if Wonderful wants to take a shot in, B, or if he wants to take a shot in mid, then Imme is going to be the one rotating back and covering for him. But in general, it looks like Wonderful is the A player, which is a little bit weird. But yeah, so also Bit used to be the A player in the past. Now is the kind of banana anchor here on B. Alexi B is the K player. So that is a change, but I think it's a good change.
Yeah, by the way, I'll say this before you say it, because I think for me, Bit M4A4, he loves that gun, yeah?
Yeah.
This B rushes, this B play coming out where he can go a little bit with pokey and push out, and how fast he can be for headshot. That's a change I like the sound of.
I think it, like, just looking at his qualities is probably a change that, like you say, it suits him. I think this B site is something for him. He's very good. Also, he's a player that I don't think is afraid of people poking up and challenging him. I think he's very comfortable with
He likes that.
these kinds of plays. And it's an area where you're going to gain so much from having a player being able to be independent, not forcing Alexi B back to that B site or being able to die early from just a lurk, which kind of leaves a lot of space on the map to try to regain. If someone comes up here and starts smoking off and mollowing off, creating panic across the whole map for cities. So
he's
this
a
is a
safe pair of
change
hands.
I really, really like. And probably was, not everyone has the patience to play A on this map, because it is kind of a B Mirage apps situation.
It's a boring, thankless position.
It truly is. Truly is. So yeah, makazze, having that donut, the rotating around on rifle a lot more often than wonderful, but it's a little bit interchangeable, and it looks great for them. I mean, in this map, they lost 1 T round here against MongolZ.
They only got
Absolutely
slapped on
crushed
it
them.
by Spirit.
Yeah, and this is obviously just to see how they obviously played wonderful here a little bit as well. But I think Bit was a little bit more towards that A site on his own. But they had this kind of wonderful A half of the time and Bit half of the time.
So still rotating around A regardless. Just different
but
players.
This map has a lot more changes. But on T side, I'd say, like, as long as you are these players and having the flashes and then coming B, if you're already a player that did that, it's not that big of a change.
And I also think makazze and Imma taking mid like that is so strong as that 1-2 punch again that we were talking about. And just the fact they're going to play with each other a lot in these different maps and these different positions is going to be something to keep an eye on, but something very powerful for NAVI to use to their advantage.
Yeah, and I think it unlocks Bit to a sense as well. He's not forced to always be the one going out and fragging, because he's a great closer of rounds as well.
That's the whole point, right? Yeah.
So I think balance-wise, overall, NAVI, they look a little bit better in my opinion. I think they have a little bit more, speed when they're going for rounds and being fast. There are still learning curves on some maps where they need to find the balance for makazze. But overall, I like the balance a lot more, and that's probably why they've done so well. And I think that they're looking like this could be the piece that kind of elevates them into challenging for tier 1 again.
Finally.
And
well, they were always in tier 1, but I mean, they dropped off so far from being a title contender. I guess challenging
let's just say they could be in the conversation of actually challenging for titles again, because that's not where they were in the past 6 months.
I like him. All right, well, that leaves us. Well, thank you very much for all the Devil walkthroughs on that. We get so much of trying to break down, because people asked for it in the comments as well when we were talking about how to keep improving the podcast, what to do things differently. We're adding something that isn't being done by other people. And we get it live with all my questions getting to be answered. And we get to understand all the changes that have been going on. So, sick work, my dude.
Thank you. It was a lot of information to keep in my head because there's so many maps. But
I'm lucky. I just basically interview you and just ask you questions while you have to figure it all out. Oh, dude.
But it was fun. I feel like I probably know the most about NAVI and Falcons now after watching the differences of the old one and the new ones kind of unfold, and kind of breaking it down more deeply than just watching a match.
Well, maybe Falcons should watch this. Maybe it'll help them. There you go. Someone send this to Falcons. Maybe send this to Zonic guys. Pass it over to him. Send it to the analyst. I don't know. Whoever else is there. Give them a helping hand. But still a little bit more to talk about with Cologne. We've got to talk about this grand final. Honestly, I predicted 3-1 in favor of MOUZ. I thought, and maybe I was just stupid in this, that MOUZ beating Vitality and how much it meant for him, that emotional but also so happy Torji interview he did with sjokz, where he's like, just laughing. They finally did it. I think now, now looking back at it, obviously it's with hindsight, right? We know the result. It's like they beat the final boss, but it wasn't actually the final boss. Yeah. Because they beat Vitality. They've been desperate for that win. They lost 7 times in a row. Then they do it. And then they go up against Spirit. And they probably, I wouldn't say they think like, yeah, we can beat Spirit. It's going to be so easy. But all year, apart from at Cologne, they were beating Spirit. They played like, how many times did I say they played? Let me just check. I think they had guaranteed they had 12 maps played before this grand final. Yeah. And 6 of the maps had gone to overtime, which is crazy. 4 series, all best of 3s, 3 won by MOUZ, 1 at Cologne, the most recent one before the grand final, 1 by Spirit. So you're thinking, okay, MOUZ got an advantage in this. And the difference can be Donk'd, sure, but it wasn't just Donk'd here, because MOUZ in some situations lost to themselves. Ancient, for example.
So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I mean, I've thought about this question myself. But if you look at Spirit right now and you compare the Spirit to the Spirit with Magic's, do they actually look better? Or is it the opponent that looks worse?
I will say that MOUZ didn't look worse if we're specifically talking about MOUZ.
Yeah.
I will say that the one thing I noticed, it seems like if you're looking at pure numbers and stats, people are saying
not numbers, just like eye tests. Look at it.
Cool, that's because people are saying Zwei, Magic's there's no real different comparison, right? It's the same kind of thing. But I'll say this, eye test wise, when I look at Zwei, he is more mechanically gifted and can play better at times of hitting crucial kills that maybe Magic's would have missed in the past. Maybe wouldn't have been closed out. Like, I actually now see that I'm not looking at like Donk'd, Shiro, and Zontix. I'm now already thinking Donk'd, Shiro, and Zwei. That's how I'm looking at it in my head.
I mean, I'm not as convinced as you are about this. I think he had a bit of a, I don't know, poor showing is harsh. I think he's been in roles where he hasn't had that many opportunities to play his game. It's been more of a passive player who's kind of just holding the map control for them, and he hasn't really found where and when he can have freedom. But I personally just felt like Donk'd has played the entire freaking semester. Like there's no vacation for Donk'd. He's just grinding, and he's just.
I didn't ask him, but I don't think he's been on holiday. I know Zontik's been on holiday after Shanghai, for example, but I'm pretty sure Donk's the type of dude that would just been. We need to check his faces stats, but I mean, like, I'm pretty sure
he just looked like he looked as sharp as if it was in the middle of a season. There wasn't that much. I don't know. He's just so fucking overpowered. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's a little bit rust on other teams, but it's obviously incredibly.
When was the player break from? When did we leave? So 18th of June, yeah, was the last game he played before the player break.
Yeah,
is that right? Yeah, on FaceIt, and then the next game he played was the 10th of. So let's look at this on my calendar. Just bring this up. So June 18th. That would have been after the major. Yeah, June 18th was just so he was playing FaceIt before major playoffs. Then the major playoffs hit. They obviously get eliminated by the 10th. So he had 2 weeks. He had 2 weeks and 4 days before he started grinding FaceIt again. And it was like 2:50 in the morning, 10th of July, midnight, 1 p.m., Like, and on the 11th, he would play. Bloody hell, he just played so many games. 12th played, 13th played,
10
14th
games in a
played,
day?
15th played, 16th played, 17th played, 18th, 19th, 20th. He took a break on the 21st and he went 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th. Yeah, he was just full out grinding from there until the 1st of August when obviously he was getting to Cologne.
Yeah.
So like
he looked sharp as ever. And I mean, yeah, he's just crazy to watch. He is absolutely crazy because he doesn't shy away from any duels.
Let's talk about this. I love NiKo. I'm a big NiKo fan. But in 1.5, maybe 2 years, Donk'd got Major, Cologne, Cato, and MVPs from all three. NiKo's still struggling for the Major. It's been 10 years. Obviously, everyone kept calling him the greatest rifler. Individually, he's always looked like that. But this is not just Donk'd surpassing him. This is like, as an individually skilled player, there is no better player individually than Donk'd. We've never seen anyone like this. And in his roles and in what he can do, this is why he has Donk'd 666 in his name. I call him the devil child. He is actually the devil child of Counter-Strike. Because he's demon mode, owning everyone.
The only thing NiKo has like going for him in the debate is obviously longevity. He's been
for sure
in the game for so long. But in terms of like
I'm not worried about Donk'd's
and achievements, I mean, NiKo must have more tournament wins and stuff like that, right?
More tournament wins, but Donk'd's already equaled his MVPs.
Yeah.
Already
he will surpass him as the greatest rifler of all time.
For me, he has. For me, he already has. He broke the records. He achieved the big trophies, the big three. He's got the major as well, which obviously has a bit more of a rise to it. And he even said after this, right, he wants more. He's not this player who's like, I've done this, I'm going to be unmotivated. He remember, he enjoys playing the game. He doesn't like it when his team skips tournaments. He doesn't like it when he's not playing Counter-Strike still. He's still, and I know we should talk about the game in some ways, so it's not just going to be us harping on about
rambling.
Donk'd. But do you remember when I said after the major, Donk'd didn't want to do a loser interview when Spirit got eliminated?
Yep.
Chopper came to me. He always does. He's always so good and kind of me, gives me more English interviews than anyone else, I think. I got a very good relationship with him. But Donk'd didn't want to do the loser interview because when I saw him, he wasn't crying, but he had like tears in his eyes after that elimination, right?
It's like angry,
he was so unhappy.
Sadness.
Yeah. But then for all the people like who and they hate Donk'd, I don't know, maybe they hate Donk'd because he's too good, but they say, oh, he doesn't care. He only cares like about trophies. Oh, he's so bad to you on interviews. First of all, I kept saying this, he's so young. So like he's learning his way with this. English isn't his first language, but guess what? He's already doing very good at the English interviews. But he had tears in his eyes looking at that Cologne trophy because it was something he wanted so much. And even on the MVP interview, he doesn't care about the MVPs. He wants trophies. Trophies is the legacy, right? Yep. More majors, more big events, more Colognes, more Katowices. You know, this is what this guy is aiming for. And he's still yet to become really like a man. 18 doesn't make you a man. You still got to learn. You got to grow. He's going through life, you know. Think of all the money he's earned, all he's going through. And he's not one of these people I see him with like, he's splurging out cash on things. I told already the story on the podcast, like he was reading the Kobe Bryant book as well, Mamba Mentality. This is a smart kid. This is a smart young adult. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he may have a lot to learn and grow into, but you got to respect this. Like he's not emotionless. He does have desire and motivation and he does have feelings, and that showed. And that was what was so beautiful about this win. And especially because it's been a rough season up until then, you know?
Yeah, I mean, 100% agree. I mean, he's been frustrated kind of all year because I think Spirit were in that conversation. They probably put themselves in that conversation that this is Spirit's year before Vitality started dominating everyone. They kind of took a back seat. Not only to Vitality, but they took a back seat to more teams like MOUZ. And, you know, it's... He's the best player in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And in, you know, like a rifler being in that position is
we've never had
crazy.
We've never had it.
I understand his frustrations, like it's also because we're hyping him up, obviously, and he's trying
Yeah,
to tune that down a little bit to kind of keep himself on the ground, which is probably a pretty
smart.
healthy way of of looking at it.
Yeah, we don't want ego donk.
Um,
That'd be terrible.
I mean, he probably has ego to some degree in the game,
But I mean, we don't
but
want it like visual
no,
ego, like I'm the best, walking out fucking Conor McGregor style or something like that, you know?
or like all of a sudden, I'm sick of going first.
Yeah, he's like, you go first.
You go
No, he,
first.
he just sends Zway out every time and then starts trading him. By the way, that's another thing. Well, I know we're glazing Donk the whole way here, but Zway, I called it his first tier 1 tournament because, like, yeah, he's competed at some majors and stuff, but it's with the Migo. He's not been at big events, yeah?
Yeah.
For his first event on Spirit, and you walk away, your first trophy is Cologne 2025, you're 17 years old. It's not like donk numbers or anything, but that's pretty damn cool.
That's
And he had
super
moments,
cool.
bro. He got the last kill on the last map as well in a 1v1, I guess clutch we'll call it, right? It's not like a 1v2 or something, but he got that last kill. He wasn't like, that's got to feel great for him, man. And
And
even Shiro had a bad final.
yeah, and I mean, Sway is gonna be better and better the more you watch him and look at him as he kind of gets used to this. Because I mean, he
Yeah.
was honest in his interviews. He said he's not fully comfortable with this kind of thing. He's not in the best, confidence mode. So once he kind of gets integrated, and I think a lot of it is for these young players, especially when you come into a team like Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
If you're the aggressive player like Donk, it's much easier because you're gonna take the pace that you want to go in.
Yeah.
Um, W can only go so fast. Uh, whilst being the more passive and having extended stretch of a round where you have to stay alive, you have to keep the control because they're very slow paced in the late round, and like keeping your focus and not zoning out into the audience or doing
Yeah.
something wrong or whatever it is much harder from that kind of position. Um, so I think he just needs to learn a little bit more where when he can take his freedom, and when he can get his opportunities to shine, where he can play from his gut feeling, still follow the rules and the system and everything like that, but still be able to express himself on the server. I think
Yeah.
that for me was lacking a little bit. I didn't really get to see Sway. Does that
Okay.
make
Yeah, that's
sense?
fair. That's fair. But that, like you said, it will come with time. But I just think
Yeah.
when I'm looking at the way he was playing some individual, when he had that freedom on his own, there's a time where he was like outside yard, looking A main, 3 CTs pushed him. He got 2.5 in there, held his own. Like he was ready. He was aware. He could take them fights. And he's not like, I would think that Magix would maybe get one, but maybe not be as sharp to get him that quickly. And it's nothing against Magix, but it's just like, it's a younger upgrade in some sense like that. And also, Zway's got this good attitude, kind of similar to the Donk style of saying like, I always want to do better. I want to get the trophies. Like he's in the right mentality point. I think that's what's
Yeah.
going to work here very well. I will say that with Shiro performing for a grand final 0.99, like I'm actually fine with that because of the way obviously Spirit use them. But normally we're relying on the Donk Shiro whole style. But Chopper needs a mention because Chopper sometimes was calling the right stacks, the right positions, the right way of things to go. And also at times, like I think it was on Mirage, him and Donk had like the same numbers. Maybe him, Donk, and Shiro were the ones like, let me check. I'm just gonna be
He
talking
even
out my
aced
ass.
on Mirage, I remember.
Yeah, on B, right?
On
When they
B
tried to
apps.
push
Yeah.
him through the smoke. Yeah, look, Chopper had a 1.26 rating, the same as Zontix. Obviously, they played really good on Mirage, but it's like with Chopper's doing that as well. And by the way, the thing, remember when everyone was saying like, oh, kick Chopper, they need a new IGL as well. Like people were saying kick him and Magix. And I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, like Chopper, he has some moments where it's not great, but I mean, he's never been someone where I look at and go, yeah, they should get a different IGL to Chopper. Like, no, this guy's been through it all, and the players love him. Like his team love him, and the relationship he has with Hallie, something's definitely working there.
No, I think Chopper is. He always surprises me when I watch him because he doesn't look very individually gifted, but he can
Sometimes he
shoot.
looks a bit slow, you know.
Yeah,
Sometimes I feel like it's maybe his time to kill is like less than what I would expect. And it doesn't matter if he's an IGL or not. It's just like, I think it's like it's a labored spray or like it's a
yeah.
not so clean shot. But then other times it's like sometimes when they're in the worst position and they're really down on rounds, Chopper just has this feeling he's like, well, fuck this, guys. Like, I'm just going, and he'll mow a few
I think
people
is.
down.
I mean, I think the biggest thing about Chopper is he's really good at finding gaps in the slow pace
Mm-hmm.
rounds, and like finding the space that they need to take, or finding a flank and wait for
Yeah.
his team to kind of distract them, and he comes behind and gets a kill. So he's using his brain a lot, and finding these gaps, and it's not easy to find these kinds of gaps or pressure opponents. I mean, there was even this like. I mentioned this in the. I'm not sure you were here, but it was like the NiKo commented on Austin post of Spirit's Nuke T side, and he did a video of that. And NiKo, I'll even put it out here. So it was like Austin made like a 3-minute video calling like this is the worst T side I've ever seen on Nuke ever,
What spirits T side?
about Spirit. And NiKo, he said this essentially. I can explain to you what this is. Round 6, they saved 3 weapons without any utility. In round 7, they could only afford 2 smokes. The fact that Chopper could get under heaven and put so much pressure on Navi with such low utility is impressive. If Sontics could gotten the kill on Bit, they could have won the round right there. The upcoming round, you said that they failed the smoke line, but if you do any basic background work, you will see makazze will throw a molly close T-red to destroy their smoke line. I like your content, but you should understand more context to the rounds before criticizing players.
Ooh, spicy
And
NiKo.
yeah,
Fair
but
play.
I mean,
It's good though.
it was fair. It was one of these rounds where like Chopper they did saved rounds. The weaponry. He still manages to pressure out any smokes on yard, gets under heaven, manages to dodge the AWP, and like kind of was really close to wonderful under heaven, and he
Mm-hmm.
somehow manages to get past him and get into
Oh
ramp
yeah,
with his
because
team.
no, do you know what happened? I remember this round. Wonderful for a
Yeah.
molly, yeah. But before, so
Oh yeah,
as
yeah. He
Chopper knew
jiggles
the molly was
just
going, and Chopper like before it even landed. Remember, it's the CT molly, so it's
yeah,
just a bit more shit as well. But like Chopper goes, and Wonderful still thinks he's locked in. Wonderful even pulls out a pistol to go hunting for him, and like Chopper's already gone, man. He took
yeah.
all the
He's
space.
like
He's
running
just
back to
vanished.
ramp and
He's like,
regrouping with
okay,
his team
give me
from
this
lobby.
space. This is great for me, and they ended up winning that round, which is absolutely wild. But also, like with NiKo saying this to Austin. My thing is, I like a lot of Austin's content. Some of it's funny, some of it's very informative. But as someone who is informed about the game himself, before he puts any tweet out to try and get the clicks or the views, he should double check these things.
Yeah,
You need to be like, I'll always say if I'm not sure about something, I think I remember it like this, and then we're like checking it live or something, right? You can't try and set a fake narrative on it just to
yeah.
get
But
the views out there.
it was still nice to see NiKo kind of defending another team. Like, come on, like
Yeah,
this is
that means he's watching as well, man. And that's the caliber
because
of NiKo, right? Watching the
I
games,
think I've always
enjoying it.
been like a protagonist. I don't know if that's the right word, but for maybe analysts are a little bit too critical of players sometimes without really,
Well, we've had this
taking rounds in
conversation, right?
context.
Sometimes analysts like, oh, by the way, I'll give this to even defend some talent on how we look at things. Watching the game from the arena, not in the talent room, yeah, and being there live like I was, I had no distractions from someone coming in who's a producer and saying, we've got this, or someone saying, get ready for this. Like sometimes I don't see 6 to 10 rounds of a game. Yeah, but sometimes I miss 6 to 10 rounds of a game because I'm doing interviews for another game in advance because the time is so short, right? So then people go to me, why didn't you ask this question about this round? I didn't fucking see it. Like, what am I supposed to do? Just make up questions that I didn't have the information to? And they blame me for like not having it. Like some of the analysts will be pulled into a meeting for the next game while the current game is going on. And then you also miss a bunch of those rounds. So it's like, I can sympathize with them sometimes, but it's also on the tournament organizers to either have a better flow or a better schedule or better tools for people to work with to do this, because even now some analysts will be so critical on players or teams, right? But they don't have the ability, like you just did there with Edge, for example, to go straight in and pull that out, because the game ends and they're thrown straight onto a desk. You know, you've been there, you've done it yourself. And then you also have to do a bit of guesswork. So some of that job is guesswork at the same time. And then afterwards, yes, someone can make a video, but that's because they've had hours to review the demo and check that molly and remember this thing. It's only what you can do off live. And that's where, like, some people can really fuck up by being overcritical. Some people can play it too safe by being too nice. There's a balance with it, and it depends on many of the situations that outside people are not aware of, who aren't in that. Like, so many times, I had a new appreciation being a fan in the arena. Yeah, not working for anyone but myself. Oh, obviously doing the one expect content, but I mean, like, I was just chilling. Yeah, and I saw so much more of the game that I was even thinking, I could ask this question now. I want to see what this going on. Like, there was a moment where I noticed on Mirage, it was, always Donk's first one in. Well, one round, because obviously MOUZ and Spirit know each other so well, they've had all these games. They send 2 players ramp, and Torzy and Brolan's already there. Like, Brolan's playing anti-flash, Torzy's off to the side of him. Torzy goes in for 1 kill. Oh, no, sorry. Brolan goes in and gets the 1 kill with an MP9. Torzy's unknown. But guess what? They sent Donk on a lurk through mid.
Was that the round where he aced?
It was either ace or 4K. He did say it was something
I think he aced
incredible
it.
moment.
Yeah.
And basically, he cleaned up everyone, because guess what? They thought, oh, Donk's in first, so that whole push is coming in. And it wasn't Donk, it was Shiro that went down first. And all of a sudden, Donk's like, ha, 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 I'm just going to kill everyone and do what I do best. And they weren't ready for it, you know? And I'm like, seeing that.
I think that was the round he came up stairs, right? He got the 2K, jumped into Tetris, hid, and then when they did a 3-man retake from CT, killed one default, killed the smoke, and then the jungle guy.
Yeah. And so I saw more of the game because I didn't have any producer in my ear clicking on something else, doing something else, you know, and that's definitely a factor in it. To talk about MOUZ quickly, they threw Ancient. Like, it was 11-5, I think it was, and that's going to haunt them. They were 11-5 up. They let Donk do a little bit of his master stuff, right? He was taking a lot of control, and I think they started to realize it was slipping away. But when they had the chance to get that, I feel like if they'd got Ancient, we'd have a series on our hands and we might be looking at a different situation. But once it got to Nuke, it was already over. Like,
but I have to agree with what you on the, like, when I was thinking about predictions, I actually thought that MOUZ would have it. But it most
they were not the bookies' favorites, by the way. The bookies all were going for Spirit being favorites. Nearly every single bookmaker.
I just thought, like, okay, they just beat Vitality. They're going to be full of, you know, good vibes, confidence,
belief,
and
everything's nice. We're going to get another trophy.
When I look back at it now, it's one of these like traps where they got overjoyous and they relaxed. It was like they already won.
You say overjoyous. In the interviews, they were like, but we know the finals tomorrow, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, but that's something you say. You're still overjoyous.
Exactly. And so I just feel bad for MOUZ because that's now 5 finals. You've had 1 trophy. It was Cluj and Poker when there wasn't as many of the top teams there. It was your first event with Spinks, and it was only Brolan, who's the in-game leader. He shouldn't be the one who's your highest rated player, right? Everyone else was struggling. Yimfat's still having some struggles that I'm starting to have a little. I love Yimfat, but like, little Yimmy's having some moments where he goes like 2-18 or whatever, and has these games where he's not up to the standard of the old Yimfat that I used to see. And I don't know if that's a Spinks thing since he's come in. I don't know if it's just a confidence thing, but it's a problem they need to solve. And even though they got over this Vitality hurdle, it's still now for me, Vitality is the best team, Spirit's second team. Spirit will not be the best team in the world for me unless they now get a couple of other trophies and take down Vitality.
No.
They need to take on they need to take on the final boss, and the final boss is still Vitality for everyone.
Yeah, they haven't won against Vitality yet. They can't be crowned.
But I think that brings us to the end of Cologne. Donk gets another MVP.
Yes.
He's in a great position. The new MVP model was brilliant, by the way, bigger than the old ones. Special Cologne design, had the graffitis on there as well. The Olaf one was in there at the same time, which is beautiful on the side. The cathedral's on there. And then what happened? Okay, we've already been saying on the podcast for like every episode that Cologne is the next major, but finally it's public information that Cologne 2026 is the next major. I'll just say, if anyone from ESL is watching, please don't do me dirty like you did for this 2025. Please hire me for the major. I've never worked a Cologne major. I would love to work Cologne as a major because I grew up watching that stuff. You know, I was watching that from back at home, and they are some of the most special. You've been through them. You've seen them.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely a special. I mean, all Cologne events are special to their own degree, but having Cologne and adding the major tag for it. I mean, I even talked to people who used to watch, Counter-Strike back in the days and stopped watching. They always think Cologne and Katowice are major no matter what, because they're so special of events. And people who don't watch like super regularly still think it's a major, even if it's not. And
yeah,
kind of
it's always that way. Yeah,
it kind of
is. The crowd. I will say this: the crowd this year was good. Friday was a bit rough. Sunday was okay, but it wasn't as crazy as last Cologne. Like this didn't. I was watching, remember, from inside the arena in the crowd, sat down on the arena floor at sometimes as well, and I even heard it from a lot of fans themselves. It wasn't as hyped, but it might have just been from what final we got and what some of the games we got. There was moments of like it was really hyped. The Vitality game was obviously crazy with the Golden Hornets going like mad as always. They're amazing, but it was a bit more quiet here. Than what was normal. But I also think, I would say from an outside perspective, that it felt like because the next Cologne's the major, this one was like toned down a little bit in order to make sure that ramp up into the next Cologne is like skyrocket high. ESL pull out all the bells and whistles and we go into like nuclear mode of how it's going to be amazing.
But it's also a little bit, when you've had a little bit of break, you don't really know. People are a little bit rusty in terms of CS. We don't have the exact storylines of this next season to some degree as well. So I think that also kind of matters a little bit.
Yeah, that comes into it. Now, the podcast has already been going on a long time. There's a lot of roster moves we could touch on. I don't want to touch on any of them for this episode because otherwise it is already 3 a.m. We will never sleep. And I have to go and travel again tomorrow. There's lots of things that have already been touched on by other posts. We can come back to it on the next episode, maybe after Blast Bounty. So let's get into Blast Bounty and then do our Q&A and then we can be done with it all. Hopefully everyone's still enjoying the episode. Yeah, and get some sleep. So Blast Bounty is obviously very weird. It's become a more problematic event because only 8 teams go to the LAN finals. Everything else before that's online. It's all VRS global invites. Yeah, how it's done like that.
And there
is
no
most of the top teams. Yeah, there's no prize pool yet. There'll be prize pool for the LAN bit, right? So it's just aiming for a LAN spot. You potentially ruin some VRS points. Then
I mean, it is essentially it's essentially a qualifier.
Yeah, it's a qualifier for the LAN finals. It's a risk for some of the teams if you're at the very top. And remember, it's single elimination. So 1 best of 3 loss and you're out. You're done. You just need to make it through each part. It does have the really cool format. We touched on it last time, like where teams can fight each other for the money and stuff that's on the line. You can choose your opponent of who you're going to vote into. So like one of the lower seeds gets to pick the higher seed or however that works, right? Whatever one thinks going to fit them in the best way possible. NRG, unluckily, the North American team got Vitality as their first one to fight up against. Let's go down. Just, I guess, the VRS thing is the problem because, say, a Vitality did lose to NRG, it's online, so it's less counting because it's not a LAN match, but it's still going to hurt Vitality. It's going to be a boost for NRG, but there's no money on the line. It's just these LAN spots. Like, kind of anything can happen here, but it's kind of rough, right? It's not the most exciting in that sense, but the format at least makes it exciting. I won't be working that one. I wasn't invited to the Malta one. You can see the hosts are going to do the interviews as well. So then they're not using me on the stage for the LAN bit. So I'm just chilling once again. Big
Do you just
sad.
want to predict like the games? Who's
Predict the
gonna
first
win?
opening games. We'll predict. Yeah,
There's a
predict the
lot
opening
of games.
Yeah, so let's just go straight from the top. Round of 32. First game's going to be, I'll just do it in the order that's on HLTV rather than the time order. But MIBR, Virtus Pro. MIBR have not shown much still. With Nick's coming in, I don't have much faith. Brennan is still struggling as well, so this probably be VP.
Yeah, I'll probably go VP as well, actually.
Pain versus Ninjas.
I'll take NIP on this one.
Okay,
I think
I'll
they've
take
shown,
Pain.
you know, that I have a problem saying this name,
Kaspersky.
Kaspersky. No, I think he's the real deal. I think he looked really,
Yep.
really, really good when I watched him. Pain, they were a bit of a disappointment. Hopefully, they can regain some form. But I have high hopes for NIP. Coming into this half of the season.
I agree on the NIP thing. I just think that Pain will come in with the fire they need to for this thing. They made the LAN finals last time as well. They do perform good online. Then we got Heroic taking on Complexity. I'm going to go for Heroic, man. Yeah, I'm going to go for Heroic for that. Fnatic versus Legacy. This gets hard because I can't underestimate Legacy again. Yeah, and I love my boy Fear. We got Jambo there. Cypher's just come into Fnatic, but they were even struggling to qualify for the last Open London. I think they lost to Ecstatic.
And they got a new player in Cypher replacing Mattis.
So let's give that to Legacy. Ecstatic Liquid. Bro, I'm taking Ecstatic. For real.
Oh, I actually want to take Ecstatic as well. I'm going to follow you.
All right. Then we've got Foot now. I don't know what that means. Foot?
It's NAVI
Foot versus Bait. It's the ex-NAVI Junior, yeah.
Oh, yeah, Junior.
So they got Masuta. I just don't know how to say the team name. They got Masuta now as the replacement for makazze. I don't think... Have they played any games with Masuta? Let's see. They lost the VP Prodigy with Masuta. Yeah. Krebeni's still doing pretty good. Still the one. He was the follow-up to makazze, the other Kosovo boy in there. I don't know. I feel like Bait should win that one personally. I think,
this is a game Bait should win. I think they are not to be underestimated, like Foot. Obviously, losing makazze could be a big one. Suta, not a bad replacement, but I haven't seen him play in ages. So really, really hard to say where he is. But
then we got
online, I feel like this is Bait's kind of home ground. Not that they're bad on land, but this is where they're comfortable. They're comfortable, playing these kind of teams. They've been very consistent against these types of teams. So Bait.
Then we got G2 Namiga. I'm going to go G2. I do like what Namiga's got, but losing his way is a big loss for them. TNL, Ukrainian team, going up against NAVI. There's something in this, especially with NAVI playing online. I spoke to makazze about it. He's going to have like 40 to 50 ping probably, but he's used to it. He is used to playing these online games. It should be NAVI, but I mean, I think TNL will give them a bit of a run on something.
I'm picking NAVI all the way, man.
I'm glad you're saying that. I'm really happy with you saying that, but I just mean, I feel like this is a game where TNL will take a map from them or something.
NAVI has converted me after this tournament. You have to keep your faith as a biased NAVI supporter, as all the YouTube comments are saying.
I am so biased. FlyQuest Aurora. Remember, Aurora's got Zantara's back. I'm picking Aurora. Yeah, he's back.
They do? Okay.
Yeah, it's confirmed.
Aurora.
Rare Atom Astralis. Oof. Oof.
I mean, I'm taking Astralis. I think. Do they have a new player, Rare Atom?
Rare Atom have a new, Tiger. Yeah.
Do you know anything about
I love Child. No, zero.
Okay.
I know they replaced somebody with Tiger. That was the headline. That was it. Somebody went and Tiger's in.
Wasn't it at one point like that they replaced somebody with Trash or something like this?
Oh, was it that? Maybe I'm wrong then. Or maybe I'm wrong on which team.
Do you remember this headline, or am I talking out of my ass here?
No, you're correct. Let me see. So, Trash's substitute. Okay. So, Wait, somebody transfers to Rare Atom bench, yeah? And then Trash is moved to substitute and Tiger joins Rare Atom.
Oh, okay.
I just love Child King, by the way. I'm always going to be a Child King fan. He is the king of children, to be clear. Because he was the best child in his land center. That was where the name came from. It's just an epic name. He was a cool guy to talk to in an interview and learn some more about. But I do think Astralis will win. I'm not holding out much hope for Rare Atom in this one. Ents versus MongolZ. It's
You
an
recruit
SDY led.
Regon.
Ents, Rigon's on the team now as well. We do like that. But this is the MongolZ, baby. They're not losing that.
I hope they make it close and Regon pops off.
Yeah, he's got his chance again.
Yeah, I love watching Regon play, but MongolZ, they have this. I think.
Yeah,
they're getting more and more stable, and I don't know. They are looking. I mean, they're ranked number 3 in the world right now. It's crazy.
Yeah, rightly so.
Yeah.
Big versus Furia. Got to take Furia of that. Yeah. Passion UA. Obviously,
Spirit.
Warrow's there. Grem, Demka, Jacasmo, Topper as well. It is going to be a Spirit win, most likely, but there could be some way that Passion could do something crazy here.
The domestic games are always a little bit tough.
And Passion will have some extra passion for that one. Dun-dun-dun.
Yes.
Bet Boom FaZe. They don't even have Axile anymore on Bet Boom, even though he was doing bad. Like, they kept Siren. They haven't got Axile anymore.
It's going to be interesting to see Bet Boom, but
FaZe do historically do bad online. Let's just be clear on that. But let's see what happens. NRG Vitality,
MOUZ OG.
Okay, they've got the Adam B move in, but I don't think that's going to be. I think MOUZ should be solid for that.
Yeah, MOUZ.
Now, which 8 teams do you think are going to go to the LAN finals?
LAN finals. I have Vitality, MOUZ. I'm just reading from the top dogs here. Vitality, MOUZ, MongolZ, Spirit, Furia, NAVI. I'll say.
I'm not yawning at you, by the way. I'm just yawning because it's 3:30 in the morning. I've been awake for too long.
I don't know. I'll say Aurora G2. I'll skip FaZe this time.
Okay. So for me, 8 teams that make it to LAN finals: Vitality, Spirit, MOUZ, MongolZ, NAVI, Furia. Oof, this is where it gets harder.
Yeah. You're gonna have to skip one. Oof. Or 2.
Do I believe in FaZe to do it when it comes from online? I think Aurora will do it. And then I'll say Pain. Pain over FaZe. Okay. It'll be Pain or Astralis. So, yeah, something like that. But I'll go with Pain. Gonna believe in them to do the dirty as always online. Who do you think is winning it? Who do you think is going to go forward and win?
Ooh.
Does Vitality bounce
like the
back?
LAN finals?
Yeah, the whole thing. Win the whole thing.
I mean, I'll take a safety. Just Vitality.
Just go Vitality?
A wake-up call. Just come here and dominate.
I saw a picture just posted on Instagram story. Flamesy's in Estonia with Rops. There was a picture by his car. So maybe they're boot camping together for this because obviously, playing from Israel would not be good ping for him. It's always terrible ping from Israel. So maybe he's just playing with Rops in Estonia, and Rops has God PCs as well. He knows all the tech. But I do think for me, finals will be Spirit, Vitality, and Vitality come through and get the win, and they go back to winning ways. It's a very easy pick in there. I'd love to see NAVI have a continuous improvement and go to finals. Even win it would be beautiful. I think NAVI will make semis at least.
Yeah,
at least with this.
I think they have a good chance of making it far. But it's all dependent on who you face in the bracket. I mean, you face a Furia early or a Spirit or MOUZ early, or like everything can happen in that sort of way. But guessing with what we have.
All right. let's go into Q&A, and then we are done for episode 21 of the All About Counter-Strike podcast. Skorga, as always, is our first question. He is not just long-time viewer. He's been in since the beginning. He's got a question in, I think, every single episode. He says, which team do you think has made the best moves during this roster mania? For me, it has to be Heroic. They've brought in a reliable coach, though replacing Saw will be difficult, if not impossible. And the granddad of the team, Tanir, is only 24 years old. I really think this team has great potential, or at least it'll be very profitable. Every team Heroic has is profitable, by the way, because they are the money-making team. I did a whole article on this. Like, the insane money they've made from transfers is like, they're just the most winning org at the moment in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think they have made some really good decisions, but I also think I feel like teams that are on the up is, I think NAVI, considering, they haven't paid the dime for makazze.
Yeah,
He's looking to fit in really well. I think he could be like, looking at NAVI like a couple of months ago was almost like sad, or it was fun because you were always a little bit mad or
thanks,
sad.
mate. Yep, cheers for that.
So I had a little bit of enjoyment because of that.
Should we talk
now
about Tottenham and what you lost today? Should we go into that? Should we make you sad?
No, I cried today because Son retired from Tottenham. That's why I'm wearing this jersey, by the way.
Pussy.
Son jersey. And no, but I think in terms of that, it didn't cost them anything. It's looking like a pure improvement, and
Yep.
I get excited watching NAVI again, which is something I kind of lost a little bit. They're looking like they can challenge for titles, at least now early on. Hopefully that continues, and they, makazze gets more comfortable in his roles, and they just continue to develop the playbook, because it looks very similar to what they did. So they probably just caught him on to what they had in the past.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for that. I think that's a win. Otherwise, G2 for me is a big one. I think what they've done from such a terrible position has to be, acknowledged. And I think they are also someone that we're going to talk about a little bit, and they're going to be, be able to upset some of these like teams that are really chasing a title and make some deep runs.
Especially with how Saw and Hunter can work together as well.
Yeah. So,
all right, that's good.
I'd say those two.
Obviously, you've already taken my NAVI one, so that was my obviously instant pick on that because it's just a big win. Some people would probably say Zwei, but I'm not going to go for that just because Spirit got a win. It's not some massive move. I think in some way, I know we've harped on about Falcons, but kyousuke's still such a win move for Falcons, because even if they had to pay loads of money for him, Spirit didn't even get him because he wanted to go to Falcons to play with NiKo and MongolZ, and have this opportunity in front of him. And obviously, probably the salary is incredibly good and the lifestyle's going to be very good. But it's
only problem with it is they were the second best team in the world when they made that change.
We already said this. I'll give it 3 months for it to go back up and then work it all out, right? But I feel like that's still going to be the best roster move of this roster mania, because a lot of it was disappointing. But I will say, because obviously you took my NAVI one, that I'll go for kyousuke and then also Kaspersky to NIP.
Yes.
Yeah, we can't forget about that because it's just a good bit of backup for the team of what they needed. The rifle fire output alongside what Wrinkle has to offer is really nice in there.
Yeah, I agree.
And then we have, you can read this one out because God knows how you're saying that.
Okay, I need to do this. Okay, so Fattengeist.
I would have said Pofottengeist. I would have said Pofottengeist.
Oh, it's Fattengeist. I thought it was an A. I'm getting sleepy. Either way, Fattengeist says, which map of the past operation was your favorite that never came back and no one talks about? As an example, mine is Thrill. I have to be honest with you. I have no clue what map that
Wait,
is. I have
Devilwalk's not an
absolutely
Operation
zero
player.
clue. And there are some maps that I've really enjoyed, but they have never been like a 5v5 map that I've played. Probably never played any of the Operation maps that are 5v5. The only maps that I've ever played on the Operations are the 2v2 Wingman maps. And
Oh,
I
you love
don't
that, yeah.
remember the names, but I remember one map I really enjoyed where you were kind of on like a river side kind of thing, and you could like walk up to the right as you spawned as T. And there was like a little window in the middle where CTs could peek down to where the Ts were spawned. And that map I really liked. Me and Michael Ele used to play it all the time. We even did tactics on it just to tilt people. But yeah, that one. Don't know the name of it. I don't know. Remember, there was a little window and like a stone wall. You would look
Oh,
down to the Ts.
I found the one I liked, but it was a terrible map if you wanted to play it 5v5 competitive. Santorini. Santorini was
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Santorini was nice. It was just fun to play. Like, it was just interesting, but wasn't going to make it as a comp map.
Yeah.
It says here, actually, trivia, it appears in Counter-Strike Online. However, the two maps are completely unrelated, featuring completely different layouts. Oh, there you go. Some trivia. But yeah, I just remember I even streamed a few games of just playing that with viewers and stuff. So Santorini was one that just sticks out in my mind. By the way, if the names keep getting funnier, I'm just going to keep reading them as well. As long as they're not like racist or angry or like abusive, I'm going to keep reading these crazy names out. Where does your nickname come from, dude? Write us in Discord about where your nickname comes from and how you came up with this name. It's always good to know. It's always good fun. But that does bring us then to the end of episode 21 of the All About Counter-Strike podcast. It is very late. It is 3:39 in the morning. We've been rocking and rolling. We had 2 Devil walkthroughs for you. We covered all of Cologne in so much detail. We've done a bit on Blast Bounty. There was still more to cover, but sleep is a must. Sleep is needed. We wanted to make sure we got this episode out nice and early for you guys to enjoy it as well, straight off the back of the hype from Cologne. So hopefully you've enjoyed it. And also Devilwalk, I met more people who kept coming up to me and saying, like, I'm watching the podcast all the time. Love what you guys are doing. So it's actually now becoming a regular thing, which at least it warms my heart. It makes me feel like that's fucking cool, man. The people now, it's not just about being a host or being an interviewer. It's like people are watching the podcast and coming back for it, maybe listening to it as well. It's dope. That's so good to hear. So thank you so much to all you that's actually mentioned the podcast to me, because you saw it when you mentioned it to me, how happy I was. And it's just
makes me happy.
This.
Can't smile right now. I'm too tired.
Dead inside, actually.
Oh, a little bit, but we did go through it, and thank you so much for the support. Love to hearing that as well. Yeah, I am exhausted.
Well, with that, we will go to bed and get some sleep. You guys get to enjoy the podcast. Maybe you'll listen to this while sleeping, like some of our viewers do, who says so in the comments every single time that he goes to sleep to the podcast. I never know if it's a good thing or a bad thing.
I think it's a good thing.
We bore him so much.
We have comfortable voices to listen to.
I need to sleep. Let's listen to Banks and Devilwalk again.
My stepbrother actually does.
Does he?
With this podcast.
Oh, God. He just wants to hear your voice, not mine, that's for sure.
Yeah,
but plenty more Counter-Strike. The second part of the season has only just begun. It's going to be a fun, wild ride of the season for sure. I'm excited to see what can happen now that Vitality need to have a little bit of a bounce back. There's some more roster moves and stuff we'll discuss on episode 22. We'll probably be back when Blast Bounty ends. And what's after Blast Bounty? Let me have a quick look. So I think from Blast Bounty, we go to the Esports World Cup. So yeah, we'll be doing the episode for that as well. So everything's going to be hitting you back to back, straight through, all around the world. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, follow, whatever else you're doing. And we'll see you on episode 22. Thank you.